Hey guys, good evening and welcome to my exciting channel. We're discussing Mandela effects and the like. Thank you for joining in. Welcome all Mandela effectians. Boy, we have a great show lined up for you today. We've got Scott Harrison who is back with us. Hey, say hey, Scott.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, welcome. We got Sandy Diva.
Hi. How is everyone today?
It's a Saturday. I'll let you know. Yeah, we got Dark Wolf's Den, who's with us, and Teresa Lynch, of course. So let's get started. So what's first on the list? Who wants to speak first?
Well, you want to do the birthday announcements and the announcement about Evan?
Oh yeah.
Hey guys,
Let's
good evening. Welcome to my exciting channel. We're discussing Mandela effects and the like. Thank you for doing.
Okay. So
I'm just gonna hold my phone still.
all right. So we're doing some birthday shout outs. We have Ven Ohm, March 1st. Happy birthday! Yay! Congratulations to Evin Powers. He's got a baby on the way. Congrats! Congratulations, Evan. We're all happy for you.
Oh, we're live.
What else? Yeah, we're live. What else we got,
I think
Sandy?
that's it. I think those are the only two announcements right now.
Oh no, are we live right now?
Yes,
Yes,
we're
we
live.
are.
Okay. Dark Wolf, can you hear us?
Loud and clear, good to go.
Hey, I welcome. Glad you could join us. We're just doing some greetings right now. So, Dark Wolf, where are you from?
I'm from the upper mid northwestern area of the country, the mountains.
Nice. Well, let's go ahead and get started here, okay? I know there appears to be a little bit of a delay. We're sorry about that, folks. We're trying to get it going here. So, the first one on the list I'm looking at, Sandy, is Charles Barkley or Barkley. Is it Barclay or Barkley?
Oh, okay. That's what I want to ask the chat. I know this sounds weird, okay? But Teresa wasn't affected by this. You weren't affected by this until I started showing you residue, correct? The Charles Barkley. Teresa, can you hear me? Teresa, are you there? I don't think Teresa's having problems again.
Goodness, I thought it was me for a second.
Dark Wolf's muted. Unmuted. Teresa, are you there? We can't hear you. I don't know. Teresa, if you're standing in the wrong spot, maybe move over to somewhere else.
Yeah, try to get by the window if you can.
In the chat, Raylan Herman is saying Charles Barklay. That's an interesting spelling.
So
here's why. I remember Barclay, but it's always been Kley. And Raylan Herman remembers it in between the two. Klay. And I know for a fact for me it was CLAY. But it's always been KLEY. And I found a ton of residue. And even though we can't hear Teresa, she said Barkley at first too with a KLEY. Then I started showing her the residue. We can hear you now, Teresa. Teresa, explain how you remembered Barkley KLEY until I started showing you the residue. Teresa, can you talk? Teresa, I would hang up and call back in.
yeah, Teresa, she's got so much to talk about too. You know, I can't wait to hear it.
Oh boy, this is going to be bad.
On a side note, Teresa, you there?
Are you there? Teresa.
Yeah.
We can't hear you.
All right, so
Oh, Teresa, you're a robot. I would hang up and call back in, Teresa.
Okay.
yeah, she uses a lot of data doing the residue hunting, and it's possible maybe the data has throttled down. We'll deal with it. Just Teresa.
She's been abducted by the ME squad
Yeah.
by a robot, I think.
How about we put this one on hold and Scott and
That's
Dark
fine.
Wolf say something while we handle this until so people aren't
Can you
just
guys
hanging.
hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Sort of. It's
A
kind of
little better.
robotic.
All right, Dark
Scott,
Wolf, are you
Scott,
there,
do you have
Dark Wolf?
anything to share?
Brian,
Yes.
can you just call me? Because
Okay, listen, I'm going to get you in here on Facebook Messenger. It usually comes in better that way.
Internet?
Okay?
Yeah, Teresa, hang up. He's gonna call you.
I'm going to call her.
Okay,
on
that'll be better because I.
Yeah, just hang up, Teresa.
Okay, in the meantime, Scott and Dark Wolves, I guess you guys had a topic you guys wanted to talk about? Some topics?
Yeah, well,
Anything
I've
you-
done a video now about dinner time, well, a couple of hours ago, that they've now announced that the atmosphere of Earth it's not a Mandela effect so much, but the atmosphere of Earth is a lot bigger than they first thought, and the moon is within Earth's atmosphere. So
Yeah,
it just,
that's crazy.
yeah, well, it proves the lies that NASA have been telling us for years, because when they say, oh, yeah, they've got to re-enter Earth's orbit when they come back from the space station and from the alleged moon landings, well, they didn't have to re-enter the atmosphere. So it just, again, I mean, it's like when they found the Van Allen radiation belts. And they said, oh, well, you have to have gone through those to get to the moon. And now they say, no, well, we can't get through them. So
Let me ask you a question, because I've been preparing for the show for the last 2 days, so I haven't really read up on it. I saw the headlines, I saw your video, but I haven't watched the video yet. Is it a case where the atmosphere is like so thin that it doesn't affect it?
well, no, what they're saying is the actual atmosphere of Earth is something like 50 times larger than they first thought. So the moon is within Earth's atmosphere. So that means that it shares Earth's atmosphere as well.
That's crazy though, because we were always taught that the atmosphere is the reason why there's so much heat with them re-entering the atmosphere when they land after a space mission.
Yeah, and as they come through, they need the special heat tiles on the space shuttles. It just shows it's all lies, and that they don't have to go in and out of Earth's atmosphere to do what they're doing. I mean, I've said for years that the space station's within the atmosphere because it's just a hot air balloon that they've got up there. That's all it is, one of these helium balloons or whatever, with a camera on the bottom with a fisheye lens on it, you know.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Scott, I saw you were streaming. I noticed that you were doing a premiere about that, and in fact, like I'm seeing all these publications online about it. Let me share the screen so you guys can see what Scott is talking about here, because this is like some pretty heavy hitting stuff here. Talking about this space studies right, humans have never left Earth's atmosphere. Now they're redefining our Earth's atmosphere to include the moon. Is that right, Scott?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for them to include the sun now, you know, and then the flat Earth model will line up with what people have been saying for years. It's like Planet 9 they've now announced. What people have been calling Nibiru, Eris, you know, it's got several names, hasn't it? But us conspiracy theorists have been talking about this for years and years and been called nuts for it. And now NASA come out and say, yeah, there is a Planet 9, and it does this orbit that everybody's been saying Nibiru does and all this lot. So it just seems that they're now revealing stuff. I mean, it's to hide the bigger picture.
Isn't that what the actual definition of apocalypse means? Because we were told when we were young, an apocalypse is like an end of world scenario, but now in this, we're told that it's a revealing or an unveiling. You know, the apocalypse.
Yeah. Now, is that a shift thing? I mean, because like the definition of it is different now. It's like the apocalypse was hell on earth, fires, flooding, hurricanes. You know, it was like going to be the worst thing ever. And now it's like, oh no, you'll just find out the truth.
Yeah.
Bit of a step down.
Yeah,
I just can't believe they're comparing it to an apple skin protecting the fruit. In other words, Earth's atmosphere is a fragile coat wrapping around the planet, to like an apple skin.
I mean, maybe it's also their way of saying, you know, because people have always said, well, if space is a vacuum, then you'd have to have a hard seal between Earth and space, and there isn't one because they send rockets through it. So now they can say, oh, yeah, well, we've never sent rockets through the atmosphere now.
Well,
I mean,
speaking of
hell, aren't they?
atmospheres and planets, right? So we have a possible ME with this place where Clark Kent works.
Brian, you're going to kill me going back and forth with all these. I can't get all the images that fast.
Okay, I'm so sorry.
It's all right. We're still on Charles Barkley. We skipped it because Teresa wasn't talking.
We had people voting in the chat. It looked like majority people are remembering the LEY.
And that's why I was trying to get Teresa to talk, because Teresa remembered LEY too until she saw the residue. I want to see if people flip, if their memories can be sparked by seeing the residue. That's why I needed Teresa on the phone.
Yeah, and I'm seeing the one with the C. Now, which one do you remember? Because you haven't pointed that out to me. Which one do you remember?
I remember CLAY. Like clear as day. There was a commercial. There was a commercial where he was standing in a white room, and there was nothing in the room except him and his name written on the floor. And I know it was CLAY. And there's so much, there's residue even from the Olympics. There's so much residue. Like Getty Images has the what is it, the 26th Summer Olympics with him. I'm sending you the residue. Hold on one second, Brian. I know for me it was always, it was CLAY. Like it just looks weird that it's KLEY because that's my mom's dog's name. And I'm sorry, it's not. I'm going to start sending you the images, Brian, if you want to start showing them. I really needed Teresa to talk, though, and she's not here. And it looks like we lost Dark Wolf, too.
Yeah, we did. If you can, try to reach out to Dark Wolf to get him back in here, because I wanted to get his opinion on some of these things, as well as any other thoughts that he had.
I will as soon as I send you all. I'm trying to send you the images at the same time. Hold on one second. This is turning out to be really bad.
All right, Dark Wolf Den says I'm coming back, and I don't know why I took the wrench. Let me give it back. Okay. Yeah, remember I had to pull wrenches because there was a hacker that took someone else's identity, and then they went wild with it and booted a bunch of people. So that's why I had to take wrenches, and so I'm giving them back to those I trust.
Pretty much those you've spoken to before.
They basically hijacked, our session,
Mm-hmm.
I like see what Schizo says in the chat here. We exist on a massive scale Truman Show, like a dome or a simulation or both. I mean, how many times have we talked about that on my channel? We talk about a possible simulation.
Yeah, I'm very much on the simulation theory myself. I wasn't until the Mandela effect happened, and the glitches in the Matrix that I see. You know, it's like, I mean, like aeroplanes floating in the sky. You know, I mean that's just bizarre. That can't happen, and yet it does. These sort of errors could only be a simulation. I mean, you see it in computer games when stuff like that happens. You shouldn't see it in real life.
Well, then, Scott, let me ask you something. If it's a simulation, wouldn't that imply that we have control over our lives?
No, somebody's controlling it.
So someone's making me sick and making me suffer like intensely just to be a jerk?
Yeah, I mean, if you play a game like The Sims, you can create tornadoes in it. You can create meteorite storms and things like that. You can.
So someone's just being a jerk and like making a bathroom around me, like just four walls and trapping me and just messing with me.
It's quite possible. I mean, I'm not 100% it's a simulation, but I'm probably 99% sure it is.
Well, no,
now.
you just gave me like reason to like. I've always been against it because I'm like that would imply that I would have some control over it. But the way you describe it, I can see that. Yeah, I can see that.
Well, it is possible that we see the Mandela effect because we've maybe broken out of the simulation or broken out of its control or connected to a different server. Or, I mean, that 4chan scientist that was going on in the 4chan channels chat thing, he was describing it like a simulation and that we were on a different server and stuff like that. Now, I've no idea whether that's a genuine person, the alleged scientist who most people thought was maybe from CERN or whatever, but I don't think CERN's got any involvement in this. But if that is the case, then it is possible that we're like viruses in the system, and we've broke free, and we do have control over ourselves.
So let me ask you another question then. Now that you said that, what do you think of the video that CERN put out?
Propaganda, just like NASA. They're the new NASA. That's all CERN are. They're nothing more.
Okay.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
Video they put out, but it's got that stupid bloody scientist guy with the penguin jumper in it again, and he's always wearing that jumper. He must get a new jumper.
All right, you want to hear a really weird out there theory that I have? It's really out there. So I think it could be CERN, and here's why. There's an article which I've discussed on the show before. All right, first of all, CERN is literally making what they say are microscopic black holes that literally like eat themselves and don't they don't grow. They're not going to hurt us with the collider that they can literally make like a black hole. And I do think CERN has something to do with this. I think that they're doing things that defy laws of nature. And I don't know how we got here, how we've jumped dimensions, but I feel we've switched timelines, like a string theory type of deal. And in this timeline, in this reality, there's an article, several articles actually, about how people remember us being on the Sagittarius arm of the solar system, of the galaxy. Right now, a black hole is devouring the Sagittarius arm of the galaxy. So my theory is...
It's not a black hole. It's another galaxy smashing into it.
Well, no, this article clearly states it's a black hole eating it.
Oh, right. Well, that's changed then. That's a shift.
Yeah. And if CERN caused a black hole that destroyed us, it even could intertwine with simulation.
Well,
they moved us to another timeline to save us.
Well, we're in a different universe. This isn't the same universe we were in because the Sagittarius arm is different now. It doesn't extend right out to the edge. It's thicker and goes more into the center than our original Sagittarius arm did. Also, we're now on the Orion arm. Well, we never had an Orion arm. So it's not that we're in the same universe, that if that had happened, you wouldn't be seeing that because we're in a completely different universe as well as but all you've got is these scientists telling you that there's a black hole there. You can't witness it. You can't look at it in a telescope yourself and confirm
Correct.
it. It's
Correct.
all. I won't use the term. I won't swear on Brian's show, but it's
Propaganda. We'll say
bull.
propaganda.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, and it is, and it's CERN are just doing what NASA have done for years. They're taking credit for things that are nothing to do with them. They're saying that they're doing things that they can't possibly do, and it's all for money. It's just for money because all these companies then want to invest in this company that can do all this stuff. CERN didn't even exist back on Sagittarius. It never existed.
No, I don't remember it either.
And now it's
It
existed
just
since
popped up.
1953. And there's thousands of colliders all around the world. There's
Yeah, I
thousands.
know.
When
There
we
weren't
first
even thousands of
shipped it,
colliders in 2016. There was one.
there was one. There was CERN. And then there was one that appeared in San Francisco. And so suddenly there was two. And that one in San Francisco had been there forever. And now there are thousands. When we went to Manchester Museum here, the University Museum, I went with Mandela Affected, and we asked for one of the scientists to come and speak to us. So they sent up this right idiot, and he was there to answer questions about CERN. So we started asking him questions, and I said, "Do you know there's a particle collider 100 miles away from us up the road?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, they're everywhere now. They're all over the world and all this lot." And I'm like, "Do you really remember all these particle colliders?" And he's like, "Oh well," he said, "It's not really my thing." I said, "Well, we asked for an expert to speak to. You're supposed to be the expert." And he said, "No." He said that I'm a biologist. I said, "Well, no worries." I said, "I've got some questions on that then." I said, "What's a kidney punch?" He said, "Oh, it's when you get punched in the kidney down here and it takes you down and you can't get up." I said, "Great." I said, "Where's your kidneys?" He said, "Well, they're up here at the back." I said, "So how does a kidney punch affect your kidneys then? Because you're not punching the kidneys there. Where you just shown me you'd have to punch isn't where your kidneys are." And he sort of stood there, got the download, and then started to explain how there's all nerves down there and it's nerves and all this lot. And he went from not knowing how it worked to suddenly knowing every last detail about it.
Oh my God.
It's typical of anyone you ask who's unaffected. They get the download. Now, we don't get these downloads. We're disconnected from that.
Well, I think we do get some downloads. And that's why, for example, leading back into the Charles Barkley, Teresa had gotten the download. She said it was KLEY. And then when I showed her the residue, she's like, "Oh, wait a minute." It sparked her memory of CLAY. And then now she says it was CLAY.
Well, I think that might happen because certain things, I mean, this thing's been going on all our lives. We just didn't realize it. So if you think back to your childhood and how it was spelt then, you'll have that memory in there. But if that changed, say, 10 years ago, you'll have that other memory there as well because you will have seen it over time. And then it's only when you see the original that you think, "Oh, God, actually, yeah, I remember that as well," because that sparks that memory because you've experienced both in your lifetime. But now when you see something change, you know that it's a Mandela effect. So you're aware of it changing and you know, right, well, that's my old memory. That's from the old world. And I know this now because this has just changed. Back then, you sort of put it down to, "Oh, I read that wrong," and just carried on with your life,
Yes.
So I think that's why we get dual memories.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Charles Barkley, that commercial, I don't know why it stood out in my memory, but I've always remembered that one commercial. He does a big smile and then it zooms out and I think the ground's on fire in his name or it's shining or something. It's bright. And his name was spelled CLAY. Like clear as day. That's how he spelled his name. And everyone I asked said KLEY. So I looked for residue and I sent it to Brian. He should have it. I'm hoping it sparks people's memory, and I'm not alone on this. But I know I'm not alone because Teresa, like I said, Teresa now says yes, it was CLAY. Originally, she said KLAY. Teresa, are you there? Can you hear me?
Well, I'll be honest with you.
Teresa's been really sick, guys.
When I first thought CLAY. For whatever reason, that was just my first thought.
Really?
Thank
And
you.
I'm not a big, sports fan or nothing, so it's not like it's something that I'm 100% I know, But that was the first thing that came to mind. However, when you said K, I have a dual memory, so I'm not, again, I'm not 100% on that.
And this is where I think residue comes in helpful. Like it becomes helpful. And now that we have 24 people in the chat, that's my top chat. I hate that. I hate that YouTube defaults the top chat. It should default to live chat. I want to see everybody, not just like 10 people over and over, But all right, so Brian, you have that residue now, right?
Yeah, I just got a text from Meegs. She is going to be joining our chat very shortly. She just got up. She's getting ready, so we're going to be excited to have her come on. We hadn't had her on in a little while, in a minute, but it'd be
December,
great.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, what do you want to share? The Barkley residue?
Yeah. Well, while you're getting the residue, which I sent to you, now in the chat, write what you remember for Charles Barkley. So I think one person or two people, Amy Ferguson and
Hang on. So let's go back to the chat and so share the residue and then do it, or interview the chat first. Poll the chat.
I'm curious what the chat thinks now. I think most of them said KLEY. I mean, you could do it at the same time, but
okay, I'm presenting, so you guys see a million windows there. Okay, there we go. Charles Barkley.
zoom down. That's me writing it in. If you scroll down,
basketball. Charles Barkley. Barkley.
The artist wrote it as CLAY. Yeah, you're gonna have to click on each image, Brian.
That's just terrible.
Okay.
That's terrible.
I see it. Charles Barkley. Click on each image.
That is the Olympics.
Yeah, there it is.
The 24th Olympics. That's
Barkley.
That if you scroll up, that's what do you call it? The stock photo place. I can't remember the name.
Right. So why would they be putting it wrong? That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, that's highlighted at the top. This is from a website.
All right, Teresa. If you Here we go.
Amy Ferguson's having a dual memory, seen it both ways now that I see the residue. Great find.
Barkley. Mm-hmm. Where'd you find this one, by the way?
Poshmark.
Poshmark.
This one's from a local news channel.
Goodness.
Yeah, you have to zoom a lot, like scroll a lot, because you have to click each image.
Teresa, feel free to talk at any time. I know you're not feeling well. You can talk whenever. It's an interactive chat. Talk whenever. Charles Barkley. Look, I don't want anyone to feel dwarfed at all in the chat. Please speak up if you want to talk about something that interests you, related to the Emmy.
I got the flu right now, Brian.
What?
I said I got the flu right now.
All right. Well, just if you feel, I mean, if I know you're feeling bad.
Well, I'm just gonna hang in the background because
that's fine.
I'm just gonna hang in the background. But if y'all want me to say something, I will. I'm feeling like crap.
All right. Yeah. I'm sorry, Teresa. I hope you feel better.
Just let me know.
The flu is terrible. That's just terrible.
I'm so sorry, Teresa.
At the end, we're going to do some prayers for Teresa and also Nathaniel. Nathaniel.
Yeah, I got some kind of flu bug. It sucks.
Let me explain this to you. This is a guy who has a fan account. Like it's not Charles Barkley, but he had to say not a basketball player underneath, and he spells it CLAY.
On that one, Sandy.
Yeah.
You, for some reason, it's like my mind remembered it that you know it, and it was like, what the heck?
Yeah, once I showed you the residue, you started seeing it.
I know, it's like they're trying to give us dual memories, but then when the old correct one comes along, it's like, oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Let me explain what they're seeing on the screen, Teresa, because it doesn't make sense. Brian, that's a two-parter.
Yes.
It was Mamu Knows Her Basketball. I was just showing the title there. The second part is a different picture that I guess isn't in order, where she knows her basketball and she remembers Barclay. So the second image, it's highlighted. So that Barclay wasn't on that page. It was just showing you the title of it.
Charles Barkley stock photos. It doesn't make any sense why they would do that. Why are they confusing people, putting the wrong thing? It just doesn't make sense to me.
No.
Well, it's people with different memories putting it up, isn't it? You know, they're putting up what they remember, I suppose.
And look how they spell Shaquille O'Neal. They got Shaquille correct, and that's a tough name.
Yeah, and there's the second part now. You're showing the second part of Mamu Knows Her Basketball. She has Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Charles Barklay, and Shaquille O'Neal.
Holy crap!
Wow.
Yeah, see, what's real, I see that it is crazy, and it wasn't that way for you, but it definitely was for me. 1,000,000%, it was CLAY.
See, here's the thing. To people who are like non-believers or whatever, could you go back, Brian, to that last picture you were just on?
This one?
No, yeah, right there.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, stop right where you're at. You said Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. That's a whole lot of crazy, especially for us English speakers. So if any of them were gonna mess up, it would be the crazy one like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, not something simple like Barkley. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
You're right. You're right, Dark Wolves. I don't know. I mean, I'm having a dual memory on this one now.
It must have changed a long time back then for people to have dual memories on it, because...
And it's possible the change was before people were born. So they've always known Barkley with a K.
Yes, that is quite possible. Now, there's another individual that wants to come in here a little bit and talk with us. Shmee, I think his name is. He wanted to jump in here. Shmee.
Shmeenix.
Yeah, Shmeenix. Yes, I'm going to send them a link, and they're going to join up for a little bit. Okay. They wanted to talk about the 90s. I have a feeling that the Mandela effect does not affect the millennials as much as it does the older folks.
I agree.
And I don't think it affects the millennials just as much. There's kind of an ignorance a little bit to that generation.
I don't think it's so much ignorance as I think some of these changes happened before they were born.
It's quite,
or before they were aware of what they remember. You know what I'm saying? And
yes.
So it's not a change for them because their whole lives it had already been changed.
Well, you got another idea, and that's the dual memory thing. And that's the fact that we could have seen it both ways through time. It could be one that's flip-flopped and we just ain't noticed until we sit down and go, wait a minute, I remember it both ways, you know.
Yeah. I yeah, you see it so much you start to believe it, you know?
Two different ways. And also, like one weekend you see it, it's KLEY, and next weekend it's CLAY. You don't really think about it. Then when it's set down and asked a couple weeks later, you're like, you know.
Yeah, and that is the thing, isn't it? If it's happened a while back, you'll have seen both in your lifetimes. And we used to just put these things down to misremembering, you know, like everybody accuses us of now, but it is what we did ourselves. We just thought, God, I got that wrong, you know.
Yeah. Hey, welcome, Meegs.
Hello,
What's up, guys? How's it going, everyone?
What's up, Meegs?
Meegs, were you listening to the show? I want to ask you, were you listening?
I was not. I had to read an important email. But what were you guys talking about?
Charles Barkley. Can you spell his last name?
Barkley.
See, and if you don't mind me asking, are you a millennial?
Yeah, I think I qualified.
Okay.
I'm pretty
Let me
sure.
interject real quick.
I got a
First
boosty.
off, a little bit, Meegs, it is so great to finally see you and be on a chat with you and actually talk to you. It is such a
Likewise,
pleasure.
Dark Wolf?
Yes, Dark
It's
Wolf.
Jeff, right? Jeff? No.
No, but it's okay. He wants to be called Dark Wolf on stream, so it's good.
Oh, dude, I'm so sorry.
But it wasn't Jeff, so you're good.
No worries.
Sorry about that. Sorry.
But second, I love that she spelled that B-R-A. She actually spelled broccoli for, by the spelling, bra.
Yeah.
It's too early. It's early in the morning. Oh my goodness, that is so funny. Oh, what's up, guys? It's good to hang out with y'all.
It's good
Even
to have
in the
you
early morning
too.
hours.
I sent you a Facebook request, a friend request, because I'm like, can she see these messages I'm sending to her? Oh my gosh, is she sleeping? I was freaking out this morning. No one was responding. Finally, Scott did. Then Dark Wolf did. It was like 5 minutes for the show that everybody came together. I was freaking out.
Oh no. Yeah, I thought it was at 9 my time. Doofus. I'm just a doofus.
Oh, stop.
Anyway,
Don't say
so what
that.
have y'all been talking about besides the Mandela effect? I mean, with the Mandela effect, what have you guys been talking about?
Well, Charles Barkley, I remember, and we were discussing that the change may have happened before millennials were born. So you may not have ever seen it that way. So I remember it's I remember it's CLAY, and we just showed a ton of residue for it.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember he was on, they did a Charles Barkley character on Space Jam. That's how I know his name.
And that's what people in the chat are saying, and that made me think maybe that's what. Well, Brian brought it up with millennials, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
You're probably right.
Because I'm remembering a commercial from the late '80s, early '90s, and because for example, like in '88, I was already 12, so I would have seen it and known it that way. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
The commercial had CLAY, big as day on the floor, and they were always talking about his huge smile. Maybe it was a toothpaste commercial. I don't know, but the thing is, it was definitely CLAY for me. And I showed the residue, and there's a blog, and the title of the blog post was I think it's Mamu knows her basketball, and she spells Kareem Abdul-Jabbar right, she spells Shaquille O'Neal right, and then she spells Charles Barkley, CLAY.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy! If you're gonna spell Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's name right, you're not gonna mess up Charles Barkley's name.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Here,
that's bizarre.
Here, I said the exact same thing. Here.
Yes, Dark Wolf Den pointed that out. So that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just, I don't know. And Teresa remembered KLEY until I showed her the residue, and then she's like, whoa, wait a minute. Now Brian's saying he's pulling a dual memory. So that's why, I wanted to share this because I think it was Brian, it was you who said that about the millennials, right?
Yes, I think it doesn't affect the millennials as much. But you're right, because a lot of the changes could have happened before the 90s or around the early 90s when they were young.
Yes, I think he's right. I do. I really do think he's right on that.
I'm 100% that I remember Jiffy peanut butter.
Yes. I was just telling somebody about that at a party. I was like, guys, Jiffy peanut butter changed.
But wait. Here we go.
They're like looking at me like.
And in support of the millennial theory with Jiffy, see, here's the thing. One of kids' earliest memories would be something like peanut butter, their mom making them a sandwich, or them making themselves. So it would make sense that millennials would remember something like that if it was an old change. But like also, Charles Barkley, not so much.
When you think about, when you're sitting around, in the office or whatever, in charge of marketing for the peanut butter company that you're working for, like when they're coming up with a name, who thinks of just JIF? It seems like it was a shortened version of Jiffy, like they just revamped the brand or something, but then it's like, oh, well, there's no Jiffy anymore. Who just comes up with JIF?
I know.
That's just silly. But
No,
you know,
it's-
Jiffy
We actually have a
makes sense.
cleaning product here in Britain that was called Jif.
Really?
Yeah, so it doesn't sound very appetizing, to be honest. It's
No.
it's not
They
called
have-
Jif anymore. It's called Sif now. But
But that what's that residue that's so good for Jiffy? Is it Family Guy? The episode
yes.
of
No.
Family Guy?
It was American Dad. American Dad.
Yeah.
And speaking of
there's
Family Guy, there was Family Guy residue of Barclay with the CLAY.
Really?
Yeah.
No kidding. They know. All those guys, Matt Groening and Seth MacFarlane, they're all in the back rooms meeting with the higher ups. It's like they get like a spreadsheet of what the Mandela effect changes are going to be. It's like, make sure you include some of these. I don't know why, but you have to include them. And you just the same with predictive programming. I just did a couple episodes on that on this new podcast I'm working on, but I don't know why they have to put predictive programming in things, like little Easter egg nods to 9/11 or whatever. But I heard an ex-Freemason saying why they do that, and they say it's a way. He said it's a form of sympathetic magic, and it's a way that people doing these things can get away with what they're doing because they're telling us what they're doing before they do it. So he said it's a way of obviating divine judgment.
Hold on for a second. I'm sorry, Meegs. I don't mean to interrupt, but Mix, mute your stream. We're hearing everything in duplicate.
Is that E-Man?
No, Mix.
She-Mix.
She-Mix.
Yo, what's up, She-Mix?
Am I on? Is it working?
It's
Yeah,
working
you're
now,
on.
yes.
Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, well, this is my first time on Hangouts. I just downloaded the app, so I'm just
Oh,
learning
sweet.
it. So, yep. Okay, cool.
It's a really
I'm
fun way
online.
to collaborate.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, wait. It's still not working. Mix, you have the show on in front of you, so you have to mute the show.
Oh,
Because
No, he's
we're
on
hearing
the
ourselves
phone,
twice.
So most likely, wait. He's on the phone. Most likely, fix the problem.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it's when it's on speaker. On when it's on the phone, you have to have a headset. If you got even a Bluetooth headset will help.
yeah, I've got a headset on.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. And every time I mute it, I guess it goes off, right?
Yeah, it goes off. Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Well, though.
But you're not muting the stream here. You're muting the show.
Yeah, are you watching?
Yeah,
the
but
stream, like, on a
I'm not
computer?
on. No, I'm not on YouTube. I'm on my phone.
Okay, that sounds a little better.
No, it's not. It's totally echoing. And they're hearing it in the chat.
Okay. That's weird because I'm not on YouTube right now.
That's so weird. I hear myself say that's so weird.
It's the
When he talks,
weird
he
thing.
talks fine.
Oh my gosh. All right, wait.
perhaps we're going into that black hole.
Mix, can you hang up and call back and see if that fixes it?
You mind reconnecting, Shmeenix?
Oh, yeah. Wait. Did you say me?
No,
No,
you.
Mix.
You're good,
Okay.
Meeks.
No, Meegs, you're good.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll try reconnecting.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right,
Thank
all
you.
right.
All right, real quick. Me have been watching that podcast or show you guys been doing it, but on the predictive programming you were talking about, I got to say, I don't think it is that they know. I think it's that it's so absurd that only the goofy cartoons could guess something so ridiculous.
Wait, what?
I
Say
think
that again?
I think it's predictive programming. I think the turd that it takes a ridiculous cartoon to come up with something that ridiculous to be real. Like
The predictive programming, Meeks.
I can't hear you very well. Are you saying you don't think predictive programming is real, or like do you,
Is that better?
No. In the case of the Mandela effect,
yeah.
It's still doing it.
predictive programming for say, I just think the effect is so ridiculous that it takes a ridiculous cartoon to come up with something that goofy.
I still can't hear you very well, but I'm just gonna pretend like I agree.
Said your hair looks amazing.
Wow. This echo is crazy.
Schmeenix, can you try muting just when you're not talking, and then when you do talk, we'll let you speak. How's that? Is that better? Any echo there?
No echo now.
No
Okay.
echo now.
So
Yeah.
Schmeenix, just whenever you're ready to talk, just pull it off of mute, okay?
And we'll stop talking because there'll be massive echo.
Okay, no problem. I don't know why that's working like that because I have a headset on. That's weird.
I know.
The thing with predictive programming for me is I think they're obliged to tell us. I think they've got to tell us. And so they do it in ways like putting it in a cartoon like The Simpsons or Family Guy. Most people aren't paying attention. They think the whole thing's a joke, so they don't take it seriously. And yet, when you go to show it and you say, look, it was shown here, like the 9/11 with The Simpsons, Bart holding up the cartoon, you know, when you go out there then and say to the normal people of this world, oh, look, this was predicted here, they go, it's a cartoon, don't be silly. And it's a good way that they can just brush you off and stay asleep.
Right. I think that's exactly what's going on, unfortunately. But then, you know, you can see even with CERN having the Mandela effect, like nods in their brochures and stuff to like the evil witch from Snow White and stuff and Darth Vader. I mean, that is just, it's the same kind of thing. It's like, hey, you know, we're going to tell you like what we're doing, you know, in some way, but like if we tell you this way, you're probably not actually going to pick up what we're doing, you know, but we're telling you all the same. And again, that guy, that Jeff Godwin, he's an ex-Freemason, now born again Christian, but he's trying to alert people to what they're doing, and he's saying that is a form of sympathetic magic, and he's like, they do that to get out of the line of divine judgment, he says. So I don't know, it doesn't make sense to me, but I know they do it. I know they do it a lot. And the same thing seems to be happening with the Mandela effect, you know, like little Easter eggs in popular media and stuff. It's just so weird. It's like this huge riddle that we could never solve, you know, except for the fact that when you start looking into certain things like, you know, like Freemasonry and whatever, it just all goes back to the occult. For me, that's how I know that it has to do with, you know, like a biblical scenario here, because I know that's what they believe. And if they're organizing stuff like, you know, these big catastrophic events and stuff like 9/11 and putting Easter eggs in to warn us about it, that's how they operate. And I know it's like, dude, I don't know what's going on with the Mandela effect still. I don't know who exactly is behind it, but for me, I know that so much of our world is, you know, it's what can I say? It's a cult based. Every big religious cult in this world can be traced back to the occult and Satanism. Besides, like, well, I'm talking about like the Vatican, Jesuits, Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses. It's just like they all have occult roots, and it's just, I don't know. That's where I'm coming from, at least. But then again,
no, you're right, Meegs. You're totally right. I'm on board with that because, you know, everything is sort of lining up with what's in the Bible. You know, there was that guy that predicted in the '60s, "What would I do if I were the devil?" It's called. If you can watch it on YouTube, and the guy lays it out almost verbatim.
I've seen that, and I honestly think, like, I still am one of those people that think, like, there is a satanic influence that can be seen in the Mandela effect, you know, and it's like weird stuff that's changing, like really weird, unsettling Bible changes, and just, I mean, to me, it's like straight up Satan has slapped his label all over the Mandela effect. Now, I can't isolate who specifically is at the switchboard making reality collapse. Like, I still don't know. Like, I would love to have a year to research CERN fully, you know, like to fully tell, you know, what CERN's doing. But it's like, for me, it's just so convoluted. Like there's just not enough time in the day to like look at.
It just seems like there's a lot of, you know how like I forget who said it just a little bit ago. Who was it that was talking about that they have to reveal things through the TV shows like Family Guy and all that? Who said that?
Yeah, I was saying that. Yeah.
Scott.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody was saying it. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree there. You know, it's like they have to. They're obligated to give tribute to the one who got them there. In other words, I guess, you know, like Satan and they have to honor Saturn. If you notice, a lot of the time they're honoring, it seems, Saturn, the Ra, the sun god. You know, things of that nature is what I'm seeing. There's a general pattern here with the ME.
Well, and also, you know, I know you look at a lot of the logo changes, Brian.
Yeah.
I was just looking at occult influence on most corporate logos, and it's insane.
Yes.
If you look up Vigilant Citizen, not the Vigilant Christian, but the Vigilant Citizen, he does a whole like web page explorate. Like he does like an online exploration of the occult influence on corporate logos, and there's the winged sun. Like on the Chrysler logo, it's an Egyptian symbol. That winged disc sun is in so many corporate logos.
You're talking about this? Oh.
The Vesica Pisces. That's like the Gucci logo with it's like the two circles converging in on each other. That's in so many logos. That's two.
Yeah, what's that? There's a clothing or shoe company that does that a lot. Under Armour.
Yeah.
And for me, the Under Armour logo itself, like, it looks all vector now, like broken letters everywhere, you know, and we're seeing merges and broken letters in a lot of logos. Yeah. And they're turning the A's into upside down V's.
Right. And it's just, again, it's like because we can see so much occult symbol influence over corporate logos. I mean, that's just undeniable. Like, it is straight up. It's a lot of it is Egyptian symbolism in corporate logos, actually, and that's all important to Freemasonry. Egyptian symbolism. So it's not a surprise to me that the logos are changing to morphing into more like Greek-looking letters and like weird pyramids in the Social Security card now. To me, it all goes back to the.
Well, and how about the third eye symbolism? You remember the lady saying "Save the clock tower, save the clock tower" from Back to the Future? Behind her, there's a third eye symbol.
Right.
It's like it's always there. It's in the background.
That's a good point. I didn't really think about that, but yeah, it's always in the background, isn't it? It's just.
Yeah, and who was it that directed Back to the Future? Was it Robert Zemeckis or was it Steven Spielberg? Because I was thinking it was Steven Spielberg, but it was actually directed by Robert Zemeckis. Is that right?
Yeah, Robert Zemeckis.
Okay. And there was another Mandela effect where in that movie, and I don't mean to be sidetracked here, but there was another Mandela effect where you can still see, like in the Cafe 80s or something like that, back in the 50s when Biff gets struck in the face, you can see like a glimpse of another actor. So apparently there were two actors that played Marty McFly that we were only aware about when the Mandela effect came around.
Yeah, I forget his name, but it's the redhead, the guy from he was big in 80s movies. I can't remember his name.
And not to mention the DeLorean is affected. That's kind of like where I was going with that with the third eye. There's now this camera up on top of the DeLorean. Does anybody remember that? I sure don't.
No,
what? I gotta look that up.
Yeah.
You want to show what I sent you last night of residue from the Universal Studios?
Yeah. Can you send me it again so it'll be right fresh at the bottom, Sandy?
Yeah, 1 second.
And then I'll share the Daily Planet residue.
Well, you have to ask the audience about the Daily Planet. So.
Okay, was it the Daily Planet or Daily Planet? What do you guys remember?
In the chat, do you remember Daily Planet or The Daily Planet in Superman? And panel, what do you think?
I don't have a memory of that.
Superman.
I remember Daily Planet.
Oh, dude, I'm looking at the DeLorean now. This looks
I'm
crazy. What
Not
is
100% on
that
either
white thing
one.
mounted on it?
Hey,
Dude.
Teresa, Meegs is having a WTF moment just like I do with you.
No. What the heck is that thing?
A WTF.
Golden Globe, like, looks like an Oscars on the trophy on the back of it.
Yeah, the Daily Planet versus Daily Planet. Let's get a poll from the chat. What you guys remember?
So
Amy
bizarre.
Ferguson remembers the. Marjorie Richardson remembers the. Know the for Blah Blah Tuesday. That's it so far. Dark Wolf Den, know the, because that's what you said.
Right.
Brian remembers the Daily Planet. I remember the Daily Planet. Teresa remembers the Daily Planet.
It was definitely there.
Scott remembers the.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Anybody else in the chat? Do you remember the Daily Planet or Daily Planet?
I remember Daily Planet, but I remember them saying the Daily Planet whenever they were, online. Like the newspaper itself was Daily Planet, so they would say the Daily Planet sometimes.
Blah
Mhm.
blah
That's what I
blah
remember.
blah. Blah Blah Tuesday wants to change to the Daily Planet. Joe Edwards says Daily Planet. Sharda Na says the Daily Planet's globe reflects the Earths we travel to. Brian said it's Saturn.
Yeah, it looks like Saturn. I'll show you pictures of it. It's crazy.
Well, show the
I know,
pictures
here.
first of how it is now, Brian. I sent you a groups of, but before you do that,
Oh.
you want to show the DeLorean to Meegs that I found?
Is that at the bottom here? Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
that Meegs, look at the DeLorean and how Sandy found this one. And not to mention the letters are all merged, the C and the K. That wasn't like
Oh,
Look at the difference between what you were looking at just now and that.
right.
this one you can clearly see right here in the back, the exhaust, those large exhaust thingamajiggers on the back.
Right.
And right here it appears to be no camera mounted on the top. That's good residue. Thanks, Andy.
And that's from Universal
Wow.
Studios. So Universal Studios remembers it the way that we do.
Right, and let's share a picture real quick of what it looks like with the DeLorean. Hank, before we get into the, I'm gonna show the Daily Planet stuff.
Yep.
Crazy.
Man, I wish they didn't go out of business. Like, can you imagine everybody having a DeLorean? They were ahead of their time.
They were.
This white camera. What the heck is that?
You guys see that? That was not there. That is new to me.
I mean,
I would just search
looks
Back
like
to
a
the Future
camera,
car,
like a
Brian.
weird
There you go.
camera. They didn't have that back then. Even for like somebody like Doc Brown,
Right there.
he would not have had a laptop camera or like a desktop camera that you put on your computer to put on a car.
Yeah.
I mean, what the heck would that be used for? It's just like a white thing with a lens.
And that whole
is
chassis on the side,
that-
too.
I wish I could see what you guys are seeing, but I'm on my cell phone because I haven't heard this Mandela effect yet. And I used to watch that movie all the time.
You really, you'll have to look back at it and see if you remember that camera on the top.
And Shemix, while you're unmuted.
There was no camera. There was no camera on the DeLorean, period. I don't know. There wasn't. Why would they have a camera
Right.
on the DeLorean?
Right.
That was the movie. I mean, they weren't trying to document it they documented it with a hand camera. They didn't have one on the car.
And
So
the color
I don't
of it looks
understand
off
that,
to
but
me
I'll have
now.
to look
And
at
the
it.
color of it looks off.
All right. Yeah, when you get a chance, just have a look at that.
All right. Now the top images which you're scrolling through is how it is now.
That's how it is now, just Daily Planet. Right?
Yeah.
And that to me just right off the bat looked like Saturn, And not to mention, what did we discover too with the Mandela effect? That Jupiter actually has rings around it too.
All the planets do now, don't they?
Oh my
Not
God.
Earth. I hope not.
Maybe the moon is part of that.
I know you're gonna want
Recently, they said our atmosphere. Recently, they said our atmosphere stretches out past the moon. So
Yeah, we
they
the
talked
Geos.
about
said-
that. Yeah.
The Geos.
Oh, look at that baby outfit! I bet.
You
Hey,
got to zoom into some of them, Brian, because some of them show Daily Planet, but then say the. So you have to click on them.
Yeah, this one says the.
Yeah, no, I'm saying some of them show you a picture of Daily Planet, but underneath it says the Daily Planet.
Right, here's another piece of clothing here. The Daily Planet. The Daily Planet.
The same thing has happened to a newspaper here in England. We've got a newspaper that used to be called the Daily Mirror. Suddenly it went to Daily Mirror, and now it's just Mirror.
Oh wow!
Mirror, mirror on the wall.
Yeah.
There's the on the logo, guys. The Daily Planet. There's one with Superman flying too.
Mirror, mirror on the wall. Who is the fairest of them all?
See, now that was the Daily Planet on the paper, but they wrote Superman, the Daily Planet. And that
Right.
was
Oh.
DC Comics, by the way. That's DC Comics.
What is this? Is this like an actual store? Like a
No, that's in a cartoon.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's high res.
Yeah.
There you go. The Daily Planet. So I guess, yeah, this one convinces me too. I don't know, like, no, it was the Daily Planet for me, 100%.
Although South America was slightly.
It was more west. Yeah, now it's over here.
Lee Ferguson says
yes.
we're making the 80s sound like the 1800s.
Oh wait, hey Sandy,
Yeah.
did you want to talk about that modern Marvel from like the early 1900s or?
Oh, yeah, I have the year 19. Yeah, all right, hold on. Before we go on, in the for the panel and chat, take a guess at what decade. We're gonna go with decades. It's easier. What decade do you think electric freestanding mixers were invented?
Wait,
Like,
what?
you know, like your KitchenAid, like the one that sits on a countertop with the bowl, and it mixes it for you. When do you think they were invented? Anybody? Decade in the chat?
I'd say about the 60s, me.
That's what I would say.
Yeah, 60s seems right.
Are you sure about that? Because like
Wait.
we had hand mixers for like the longest time, like you know, still with the motor, not a freestanding one. Okay, Amy says 1930. She's pretty close. What year did they come out, Sandy?
1908.
1908. Since 1908, we've had
1908.
standing automatic mixer.
I'd guess 1920s, but 08?
08.
Are we talking electric ones here?
We are talking about an electric one, yes. Brian, you want to show the images?
Well,
I
people
gotta send
didn't
them
have
to you,
electric in the homes then, did they?
Yeah, you sending them now?
Yeah, I have to find them. Hold on one second.
Nate, I think that they had here.
So you know, for example, like KitchenAid, I think were they the one that invented it?
No, it wasn't KitchenAid. It was a guy. I had to find his Herbert Johnson, I believe.
What is it called? Automatic mixer?
I'm doing a standing mixer, 1908, and it comes up as mixer history. Herbert Johnson. It was invented in 1908 by Herbert Johnson.
Okay, let me see what you're about to send me because I'm having trouble finding it right now. Wikipedia.
Okay. I'm gonna send you a screenshot of the website I'm on that tells you it's Herbert Johnson. And KitchenAid was introduced in 1919. The KitchenAid food preparer.
That can't be possible. Does anybody remember going over to their grandma's house and them having this? No. They always had hand mixers.
Yep.
Unless the only thing I can think of is maybe that it was probably like super expensive. That's if it's not a Mandela effect, then it would be super expensive, and maybe that's why people didn't buy it. But
I'm having a hard time finding the image for the 1919 one, but I have the 1931. So I'm going to send you the 1931 and the image that tells you about the history of it, which shows you that. I'm sending them now, Brian.
Okay.
So this is the 1930 mixer, and this is the history that tells you when they were made. I thought it was about 30 years ago too, Prenta. I really believe it was like the 30s. Or
yeah.
30s, the 60s.
I
really thought.
That one's in some pretty bad shape.
It looks like an Edward Scissorhands thing.
It does.
There you go, guys. That's a 1930s mixer.
I mean, could it be where was it invented? Was it U.S., U.K.? Where was it invented? Germany or?
I believe it was the U.S. Dark Wolf left.
That's fine. Dark Wolf, if you're there, thank you for coming.
Thank you, Dark Wolf.
I would have thought the UK. We normally invent everything.
That's true.
Hey
it
guys,
just says Hobart. I'll look up Hobart Manufacturing Company.
Hey, Schmeenix, is that right? Schmeenix?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just have. It's kind of off subject. Okay, I just my original Mandela effect was the effect with Scarface the movie. I just wanted to get this out here because I haven't discussed it with anybody live of any kind. I mean, I've been kind of a ghost online. I still keep up with everybody. I still do everything when it comes to, keeping up with the effects and seeing where it's going. But has anybody had the experience with Scarface? The effect with Scarface? It's a double effect. It's like a double entendre. If you've seen the movie, from what I remember, this is what got me hooked and what got me completely just out of my mind in a way for a while, where Tony Montana was in the bathroom and he was having an argument with his wife, his fiance, whatever you want to call her. And he says, another Quaalude, you love me in the morning after the argument. It was in the bathroom. And then now they're saying it's another Quaalude, you love me again, but it's in a completely different part of the movie. It's in the part of the movie where they're in a club. And that is completely foreign to me. I don't ever remember him saying that line in a club. It was only in the bathtub scene where he was talking to his best friend, and he laughed about it at the end. He's like, now the Quaalude, you love me in the morning, and he laughed about it. And that was so prevalent to me, and it woke me up to the effect. I don't know if anybody else has seen that effect online very much. It was on one video. I've seen one video of somebody posting it, and that's what caused me to just wake up, basically.
That's the one that woke you up?
Yes.
Wow.
That's really interesting. I love to know what was waking people up. How long have you been awake to the Mandela effect?
I'm not exactly sure of the correct date, but the first video I ever made on my page is the day that I woke up. So it's probably almost a couple years ago.
Wow, yeah, that's pretty much when everybody started waking up. But man, I'll have to rewatch that. I only watched Scarface one time, but I liked it.
But that's the thing. It was a huge movie for me when I was growing up. I had it on VHS. I watched it over and over and over again. So, and I have not seen this. I had not watched the movie in like maybe 12 years, 13 years, and whatever. It's been a long time, Like I watched it a long time ago, and I watched it all the time, so I didn't need to watch it again. But when I heard something online, I'm like, what is going on? This is not right. This is just not right. This just doesn't make sense. And that's what woke me up. Yeah, everybody's different. Everybody has a different effect. And that one, just that one effect is what gets people to wake up. And that's what it is. It's like an alarm clock for everybody.
It takes it being something personal.
That's right. Like for me, it was
exactly very personal. Very personal.
Mhm.
For me, it was if you build it, they will come. Is now if you build it, he will come.
I don't know who he is.
For me, it
But
was just Berenstain and the
Berenstain
Berenstain
Bears.
Yeah,
It was
Berenstain
Berenstain.
Bears. That was the first one for me. But
yeah, me too, actually. Yeah.
but for
Here,
me,
here,
it
me
was
too.
like a whole chunk of them because I was watching. Believe it or not, I woke up because of Shane Dawson.
I woke up.
Literally, Shane
Oh,
Dawson.
really? That's
Yeah.
wow.
Really?
That's really good to know, actually, because I think people like that. I wonder how much good they're doing for the community, like the quote unquote conspiracy community. But
Uh-huh.
if people are waking up through that, then that's freaking awesome.
They are, because let me tell you another thing. I don't know if anyone's familiar with Graveyard Girl, Bunny Meyer. She makes
No.
videos on all sorts of stuff. She used to do a lot of videos about ghosts, and she'd go to graveyards and try to communicate with ghosts. And she stopped doing that because it was affecting her actual life. Like, she felt like she was bringing ghosts home with her, things like that. And she was it was just like a random unboxing video or something with her husband or boyfriend, whatever he is. And she said interview with a vampire, and I shared that clip and tagged her. And just by her saying that, I had all these people start following me because they woke up from that. So
Wow.
I don't think it matters. I think it's just get the information out there. I don't think it matters what, like, who's sending the message. I think
Right.
just getting
Right.
that information out there wakes people up.
Right on.
It does attract trolls too, but you know.
Right on. I think, yeah, the people that are going to wake up, all you need to do is be exposed to it once, really.
Right.
And then, I mean, like, some people don't need convincing, and that was probably all of us, We just,
Yeah. I was convinced the minute he was talking about J.C. Penney and Berenstein and Skechers, they were all in that video. So I woke up to all of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, oh my God, my head was exploding. And then I watched another person who wasn't even in the community, who just mentioned on her channel that she watched Moneybag 73 about the Mandela effect. And I'm like, what? There's stuff on YouTube. And then that's when I just deep dove. And it was all in like the same, like 2 days in December of 2016. That's when I woke up.
yeah. Wow, man.
We got a huge shout out. We got Mandela Affected in the chat. Welcome.
What's up?
Be honored to have you come on with us either at this show or maybe another show. We'd love to have you.
You really wouldn't want him on.
Scott.
Oh, come on, Scott. You have him on your show all the time.
Exactly. Take the warning.
That's how he knows. He has him on his show all the time.
I've been watching all of you guys. I know Meegs kind of woke me up too in the beginning. For me, it was Meegs and Moneybag 73.
Yeah.
Honestly.
It was Bluebeard that woke me up.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
What? Yeah.
With the South America. I was watching him because he used to do stuff on the Arctic and the Antarctic when we had them. And he used to look at like the holes in the Arctic, and
he did some really great work on the geography changes, didn't he?
Okay, this is awesome.
Like Area 51, that moved.
Yes, much further south now.
Okay, this is awesome because, gosh, what is his name? He does the lists of he has a pyramid as his icon.
Laszlo.
No, it's not Laszlo. Hidden knowledge. Hidden knowledge. Yes, his episode with the that is the episode that I saw with the Scarface episode, and that is exactly why it woke me up, because he remembered it the exact same way I did. And if he remembered it the exact same way I did with Scarface, that is so random. You know what I mean? He remembered it being in the bathroom scene, and I'm sitting here going, whoa. That is why it's so prevalent to me. You know, hey, I mean, there's other ones that have been as prevalent as that one afterwards. You know, like I See White People. I mean,
Oh yeah,
come
that
on! If
one's
you
big
see
for
Scary
me.
Movie,
Yes.
Scary, that is huge. That is one that re-woke me up again. I'm like, oh my god!
It
You
was
know,
I
it's
See
like,
White
yes,
People.
it's still going on. It's I See White People. I mean, I've got a video I think that shows proof of that too.
Really?
You'd have to go through them, but you know, yeah.
If you can
that
find
is.
that, if you can find it and send it to me, I'll give you credit for it.
I found a YouTube, or not a YouTube, but a Yahoo page that has about I See White People from 10 or 12, 13 years ago, showing that that is the line from it. You know, it's like they were joking about how I see white people and I see dead people. If you look up I see white people and you type in Yahoo answers, it'll come up with it, and it'll come up with answers from like 10, 12, 13 years ago.
Whoa, that's
But yeah, it's true. It is. I mean, yeah, I found that, and I can probably post it somehow.
Well, if you send it to Brian, he could put it on the air.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd have to disconnect, but I can definitely find it and resend it and send it to him.
But did you ever see Schmeenix? Did you ever see Dog Day Afternoon with Al Pacino? I was gonna ask you this before we were talking about Scarface. But Al Pacino's in this movie about like a bank robbery. He's a bank robber, and then like my friend Jim, who's like 52, called me. He's super Mandela affected, and he called me. He's like, Megan, he's like, Dog Day Afternoon completely changed. The plot line completely changed. He's like, Al Pacino is now marrying like a cross dresser in the movie, and he's like robbing the bank to get money for his lover's sex reassignment surgery now. He's like, that was never in there before. He's like, it was to get money for his wife to buy, like, to get his wife's favor back because they're going through marital problems or something. He's like, the plot totally changed, and it's just very strange. I don't know if you ever saw that movie though. You know?
Yeah, Dog Day Afternoon is not that's definitely not something that I can recall. But you know what? Get him on. Get him on. Get him on to talk about it. You know what I mean? Because it could be for somebody else. I just never seen the movie.
I made a video about it, but there were like maybe 6 or 7 people that remember it exactly the way he did. But he doesn't really want to come on YouTube, but he's a little shy. But it's just strange that was like, that's like a huge change that's relevant to our culture now. You know, that movie was like in let me look when that movie was. It was like in the 70s when like that just wasn't being discussed really, you know, like that kind of stuff.
But isn't that also a common theme we're seeing with the Bible? Is a lot of common like items and ideas being put in the Bible?
Oh, totally. Yeah, and EYA covers a lot of those, but like the like common, you know, like political themes in today's culture and whatever themes of like transgenderism and all this kind of stuff is totally popping up in the Bible changes too. So
And smiley faces.
It's very interesting. I mean, it's just totally weird. But yeah, there's like I don't even want to say some of them, but there's like there's like a holy kiss between men now, and like I don't even some of them are so viral I don't even want to say, but like There was, I can email some of the changes if people want to hear them, but it's just bizarre. But I haven't looked at the Bible changes in a little while now because I'm actually I've been focusing on figuring out what the heck is going on with like remote neural monitoring with targeted individuals and how people are literally getting their brains hacked into, and some targeted individuals are talking about having their memories changed or having implanted memories of stuff they could not have possibly done. And I'm just like, holy crap, like it really is that it's getting this bad. But again, it sounds like science fiction, and it's a hard topic for people to get into. But I think it's super relevant to the Mandela effect.
Mm.
But
Well, I mean, it's like with the stuff like that. I mean, we're just electrodes, and everything in our brain is electrodes.
Right.
Of course, they can affect it. Of course, they can tap into it. I mean, the amount of times, how many times have you thought about a product that you might buy? Never mentioned it, never spoke about it, but you get an advert for it up seconds later on YouTube.
Dude, oh, it is bizarre. That happens to me so much. I was just talking with my friend at work about like her friend and her went on a Kesha cruise, like a Kesha cruise ship, and they came back all tan and stuff. Okay, like an hour or two later, I start getting ads on my Facebook, like ads about yachts and cruise liners.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, I have never searched for that. They literally got that from me talking to my friend without even being on the phone.
Oh, what's even creepier is when you think of something to search, something you're not into, not something you've ever really typed in. You go to Google, you've only thought about this. You type in one letter and it brings up exactly what you were thinking about. Like it didn't just randomly guess just what you exactly happened to be. You know what I mean?
Right. Yes. Right.
And you don't even have to talk about these things. I mean, because like we know they're monitoring us all the time through our phones and everything anyway. But you don't even have to say these words. You just have to think it. And the next thing is coming up. They can read our minds. They really can.
Yeah.
And it's not even inconceivable with today's technology. They can do that.
Scott, I think what you're saying is true, because you look at all these end user license agreements that nobody ever reads.
Yeah.
And I believe part of that is actually in there that they're allowed to monitor, I guess, in some way.
Yeah, Apple have got it in theirs, haven't they? In their terms and conditions.
But everybody should look up this TED Talk called "How to Manually Change a Memory." It's a TEDx talk. They're talking about changing memories with laser beams.
Oh my goodness!
What? Yeah, TED Talk, how to manually change a memory. And then there's also a TED Talk about brain to computer interface, talking about drawing your inner thoughts and your inner voice. You're taking your brain frequencies and showing them visually on a computer screen, like putting your brain frequencies through a computer to map out what's in your head. I mean, it is horrifying what they can do.
Oh, have you seen the TED Talk where the one guy controls the other guy's arm just by his thinking?
Yeah. Wow. Oh yes. Isn't that nuts?
So basically, that could be the cause of the Mandela effect. They're beaming memories into people, just like people have been saying, getting an update.
That is exactly right. And you know what? We can see this full force. It's in a slightly different way than the Mandela effect is manifesting. But if you look up testimonies of targeted individuals or people that are electronically harassed, they have injected thoughts. They all describe having thoughts put in their head that are not their own. And even children, this happens to children of people who are being electronically harassed like this. where the child will come and say, "Mommy, I'm getting these thoughts in my head," that it will be like specific type of imagery that the adult will also be getting in their head if it's families of targeted individuals. They do this to whole households. It is the most ridiculous. It is so sick. But if you can look up, Robert Duncan talks about this. He's I think ex DARPA. He helped engineer this technology that can like implant thoughts and do like remote neural monitoring and stuff. He's written books about it. He's now trying to expose it, what they're doing. But it's a sick like torture program that they're doing to people.
I know that's worse than anthrax or some other air blown. I mean, because think about it. What if your mind is so twisted, that it turns on people and people around you turn on you? Just think. Yeah. I mean, that would be a very powerful weapon in warfare.
Right.
Well, we see that happening. You talk to somebody about the Mandela effect, and they will turn on you. They'll get angry.
They do. I don't know why. I don't know why they get hostile toward it.
Yeah. You ain't even got to mention the word. Just mention something that's affected.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm kind of like what you were saying, Meegs. You were talking about like people receiving updates and programmable memory and all that. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of thinking maybe millennials receive updates faster. Maybe that's the reason why they are not as affected. You know what I mean?
You could very well be right. There's also I watch this channel, Romola D reports all the time. She's a targeted individual that does really good research on what's going on with like brain privacy and like brain neurohacking technology. But she said a couple times that Reagan passed some kind of bill or something that demands that everybody born after some year in the 80s would have a microchip in them. And it's like it's like some kind of hidden legislation, but you can find it, you can look it up. And people are finding microchips in them already, and you can buy like an RF wand. And you can even look up on YouTube people using like radio frequency wands to locate the chips they have in their bodies. I mean, I'm not. I know this sounds crazy, but
where are they generally finding these chips at, Meegs? Any certain spots on the body, or is it pretty random, or what?
Behind the ear, like jaw, like right behind the ear, sometimes jawline, in their kneecaps, in their genital areas. There was a satanic ritual abuse survivor called Cheryl Hersha, who had an MRI done of a chip embedded in her skull that was put in there when she was like 5 years old, she said. And they were like, "What the heck is this?" And then when she was trying to get it removed, they're like, you have like a chip in your skull, like you gotta get this removed. And then when she went back to that doctor, she said the doctor pretended like he didn't know what she was talking about. And then later that doctor was not working at that hospital anymore. And she couldn't find that doctor anymore.
Well, let me ask you this. Are a lot of these targeted individuals that have these implants, are they experiencing abduction scenarios of any type, or do you know anything about that?
Not so much with the TI community. I have not heard so much about the alien abductions, but I know certainly there are a few that have talked about like my labs, like military abductions.
Right.
And that goes along with, because our government's highly involved with the dark forces of this world, and they manifest in different ways. But I'm just saying, like, I guess, like, it's time to start kind of looking at these harsher possibilities. Like, even though it's uncomfortable, like, this is why we could be getting our memories updated, or some people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it could be this intense.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? Are we the affected? Yeah. That's the wrong term, really, because, like, we're not being affected by this. Or
right.
that way round. are we the ones that are having these memories implanted in us? And it's the normal people, are using quotes, that aren't getting it. I mean, we don't know which way around it really is, do we? Although we do see people getting the download.
Right. I think the residue, proves that we seem to have the correct memories, but
I like to think so.
Yeah, but I'm biased because I don't want to be.
Same here.
I don't know.
But you know, it is possible. We have to leave it on the table, really, don't we? That it's us that have been implanted with these memories, But if it's not, if we're the ones that aren't being implanted with these memories, then we're not actually affected, like we say. We're the non-affected.
Right. There's also we don't have to keep talking about like TIs or anything, but everybody should look up this interview with this guy Richard Lighthouse. He's an ex-NASA whistleblower, and he has written 70 books, but a lot of them are dealing with the satellite weaponry and satellite remote neural monitoring. And he did an interview.
Actually, Richard Lighthouse is a really brilliant man. He came also up with the Lighthouse theory that the universe blinks on and off 1.1 trillion times a second.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that about him. But,
that's how I first ran across him, was looking into research into the universe itself and, the whole, yeah.
That's interesting. He actually did an interview with Carrie Cassidy like a couple weeks ago.
I seen that.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I did.
So did you hear how you could put, and I tried this, I didn't feel anything, but I don't know if I'm doing it right. He said, we are all hooked up to a satellite-based weapons system, but it also sends us each individual frequencies to our brains, and you can actually put your hand over the back of your head and feel the pulsing of this signal that's being sent to every one of us. He said he knew about this weapons program. He said this is massive mind manipulation just on a mass scale, but most people would never notice it, like the pulsing. But he said you can actually feel it if you block the back of your head with your hand. You can feel it. But anyway, I don't exactly know if that's true or not. But he is like a hero in the targeted individual community, and he does a lot of great work for them. So it's interesting to consider if it really is that bad, then in my opinion, we need Jesus.
Or tinfoil hats, because that right. Signals.
We do need
your information intrigues me. You see, I come from a military background family, and at the age of 13, I had a surgery to remove a, quote, foreign object from the middle ball of my left foot. The only answer I ever got was foreign object, because they said when they cut it open, now this is the story I got, I don't know how true it is. When they cut it open, the moment oxygen touched it, it turned to dust.
Wow.
What?
Yeah, it's crazy.
To this day, I've never received an explanation on what that was.
Oh my God.
So again, when it hit the air, it turned to dust. Is that what you said? Like when you?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, man. Yeah, that's like nanotech, right? I mean, that's
but understand, this was 93 when this was cut out.
Oh my God.
They've had that technology for a long time. But that I've heard stories like that, and it's just so shocking to us because we're not told about this technology that the military has had for probably many years, like nanotechnology. Like amorphous, they call it like black goo technology, like programmable matter. That's literally what we're talking about, programmable matter, and it is, I've heard people like dig stuff out of their back, and like after they've had a vaccination, and they find like foreign objects have formed in their skin, and when they take it out, it's still moving. I mean, I've seen pictures of it, people taking pictures of it, I'm just like, this is crazy stuff.
That's creepy.
But all you have to do is look at the nanotech industry. It's all over popular universities in this country and throughout the world. And there's the army uses nanotech. You can just look up nanotech industry within the government.
But
I mean, that's what
Meegs,
this is.
I
Yeah.
don't mean to
Or
interrupt you, but
biotech.
like I'm actually hoping for nanotechnology. I have a condition that's very weird. When I stand up, within 10 minutes of standing up, my entire nervous system malfunctions. It goes into overdrive. Like my heart rate, my blood pressure, and all that stuff. Really, nanotechnology is the only way they'd be able to make medication for me. Because the normal treatment would be high blood pressure medication, which would control a lot of the symptoms. However, when I lay back down, everything goes back to normal. And you can't give high blood pressure medication to someone who has normal blood pressure.
Well,
So my hope is nanotechnology will find a way to only deliver the medication when I need it.
is it not possible that they've done that to you on purpose, though, so that now you're accepting of nanotechnology? Is this not the way they're going to get it in?
That is
How
true.
ill people
Well,
are.
it's such a rare condition that I don't know. I honestly don't.
Does anybody else on this panel have a nervous system condition? And there's a reason I'm asking.
I don't
Like-
know. No, I don't.
Like how so?
So Sandy has this issue with the nervous system and breaking down after 10 minutes. I actually have Tourette's, and I was born with that.
Oh, wow.
I just found it an odd correlation. I was wondering if anybody else could, maybe we find a correlation there, but guess not.
Well, mine I wasn't born with. It developed in my 30s.
Oh, wow. How late? Wow.
Well, it's my condition's caused by injury, illness, or surgery. And I was in an abusive relationship for a decade. So most likely the injuries caused it.
Yeah, that's logical.
Man, I'm sorry to hear about that. But yeah, I just
I'm blind and all that.
understand where you're coming from completely, but I just have seen too much of the evil side of nanotechnology, like researching Morgellons and stuff. Nanotech,
Oh, that's
manifesting in
just
fibers,
insane.
crystals, like, ugh, I just don't.
Well,
I don't know, man. It's just it's a complex issue, though. I know.
Look at how many children are born with autism now, right? This was never a thing. When I was a child, I'd never even heard of autism.
Me too.
And ADHD and all these different conditions that these poor kids have now. And it's a genuine thing they've got it. Now, it's a bit of a coincidence how they upped all the amount of vaccines they have and everything just before all this started. It's not a coincidence at all, is it? It's a direct correlation.
Direct correlation for sure.
Yeah. Well, I think they're doing it on purpose to make everybody so ill that, like Sandy's saying, they're saying, well, the only way I can be cured of this is with nanotechnology. I'm sure there's other ways they could do it. I'm sure they've got the technology to fix you overnight. They just choose not to. They're just that evil that they choose not to.
Well, actually, I do think they choose not to because there's so few people who would need treatment on this. It's not profitable for them.
Yeah, not yet. If it can make more people that way, though, it will be. And I just think it's yet more control because then if you're on medication all the time, you've got no choice but to rely on the government. If you're a fit, healthy individual that doesn't need any help from the government in any way whatsoever, you ain't part of the system. You're no good to them. If you're dependent on the government and the medical authorities and all these people, they've got you over a barrel.
Oh, yeah.
Have you guys ever seen Transcendence? It was a 2014 movie with Johnny Depp.
No.
It's a really great movie. It's a thriller, which kind of illustrates a lot of that. Like, just look it up. You'll see what I mean. It's. Let me see if I can give you a brief rundown. Plot. I don't know. He's like this AI. He dies and then he becomes like part of this AI. Johnny Depp.
Oh, really?
And he cures people's eyesight. The blind come to him. But then
Wow.
the only bad part about them getting cured of their illnesses is that they become one of his drones. Like they become mindless beings.
Dude, I gotta watch that.
Yeah, you guys have to see that. It's called Transcendence.
Wow.
Sounds like what they're doing to us.
Yeah, in fact, how many of us Mandela affected people do we maybe because we see it more than most people, but how many of us actually go like how many of you watch regular TV and are what do you call that? Exposed, I guess is the word.
That's a good thing to ask the chat.
Exposed
Guys,
to the program.
in the chat, just put a Y or an N. Do you watch TV regularly? That's a good question.
I don't watch TV, movies, or anything. The only thing I do watch is the news because it's a good way of tracking effects because they'll say something and I'll think, bloody hell, well that's changed, you know. But I can't watch television programs, soap operas, films. I can't watch none of that nonsense.
No.
I don't either, and I'm noticing in the chat there's a lot of N's. Look at the chat, guys.
Oh, Black
So-
Rock Tuesday says Amish barely have autism. That is so true.
What?
That's
Yeah.
I
interesting.
see autism in the Amish community.
No,
All right,
they
can
don't.
can I give you guys an alternative because I don't think it's the vaccines. I have a different theory. You want to hear my theory?
What is
And
it?
and the Amish would actually
hear it.
support this. We're having kids later and later in life. The Amish have kids very young. We used to have kids very young.
Yeah.
I think
Have you
autism
seen-
has a lot to do with us having kids later in life.
Just watch Vaxxed, the vaccine
Yeah, but see,
documentary.
the vaccine, the whole thing with the Vax thing, it was based on one study which was debunked, and the guy who made the study was proven to have falsified the results, and he lost his license.
Well,
He would
perhaps
actually go. He
was
went
a
to a kid's
shill.
party. He went to a kid's party and got blood samples from the kids at the party.
Yeah, but you know, like for him to have got the prominence he did, sounds like he was a shill put in place to reveal this and then to be debunked so that everybody dismisses it.
I mean,
There's been
anything's possible, but every single study that came out afterwards, I mean, independent ones, they couldn't find any link.
There's been a CDC whistleblower. I forgot what his name is, but he's in the Vax documentary. It's we don't have to get into vaccines, but it is an
No, I understand. We're not ruling out vaccines whatsoever. You know, I still think it could be vaccines. I think I think like what Sandy's saying, it could be the Amish having kids at an early age. You know, like
but there is young couples having kids with autism as well, though.
Yeah, a lot of them.
I'm curious to know, can anybody in the chat verify this? If you have kids with autism or know somebody with kids with autism, let's take a poll right now of how old they were when they had those children.
And I'm not saying that doesn't happen when they're younger, but I used to work at a special needs school for several years, and the one thing I noticed is there were multiple disabilities there, not just autism. But I did notice that the parents with children with autism they were mostly had their children in their late 30s, early 40s.
Here's another thing too. They stopped putting fluoride in the water. Remember, water used to have fluoride in it, the drinking water, and they took it out. And I've heard cases where because they took out fluoride, it's causing our pituitary or whatever that gland is, the pineal, to calcify, and that's why we're having memory troubles.
Well, that's interesting.
No, I think you got that backwards, Brian. They put it in. That's what calcifies.
And that's interesting that you said that.
Yeah,
because
they put it in to calcify. Yeah, they put it in calcify it.
they're testing
That's
me
what I
right
heard.
now, guys. The thing where the hyperpods, which is a form of dysautonomia, that's what's wrong with me. They're saying that they're testing me. They think I could have something called Cushing's disease. And Cushing's disease is when you have a tumor on your pituitary gland. So it's funny that you mentioned that, the pituitary.
Yeah, the pituitary, that's the gland that controls growth, like how tall or how short you're going to be. You know,
It also controls your nervous system. Yep.
It also did something to your thyroid as well. It affected your
Yes,
thyroid.
that's how it does it. It sends out the hormones that your nervous system, your thyroid, and your adrenal glands rely on to function properly.
Yeah.
So if something's wrong with your pituitary, it can affect your whole system. And I have a lot of symptoms of Cushing disease, and they've tested me for it before, and it was negative. But it turns out that medications I'm on and the way Cushing's works, like if you test it too early and it's considered a mild case, it won't show up on tests. So they're going to be testing me again because now it's a year later and I have more of the symptoms. So they really think I have Cushing's disease. We don't know yet though. That's why I'm not saying it, because I said it before and then they're like, no, you don't. So I'm like, right now, for a fact, I have hyperpots, which is a form of dysautonomia. But if I have Cushing's, it can cause dysautonomia. So it's up in the air.
Well,
but it's funny that you mentioned that something in our drinking water, which we've all been exposed to, can affect the pituitary gland, which is exactly what's affected with Cushing's disease.
Actually, it's the pineal gland it mainly affects. It could affect the pituitary, but I know fluoride messes with the pineal gland.
And how close is the pineal gland to the pituitary?
That I'm not entirely sure. I believe they're separated.
The pineal gland is closer to the frontal lobe, and the pituitary gland is a little lower, and it's still centered. They're both centered, so you never know.
Interesting.
Then again, I guess if you mess with the brain, you mess with everything anyway. So.
Well, I was just going to say it's going to affect various things into it. I mean, you put a toxin into your body and it'll affect your liver, your everything. I mean, it just works. It goes through a chain. Then it's a chain reaction.
I want to emphasize two things here in the chat real quick. Amy Ferguson points out my niece was 29 when she had twin boys. They were normal until their 6-month vaccine. They soon after were diagnosed with autism.
And that's something you hear a lot from people. They had the vaccines, suddenly they had a flu after it, and then they've never been the same since. I've heard that a lot.
How many times have they pushed the flu shot? Like everybody gets a free flu shot.
$0 flu shot. Yeah.
Come on, there's got to be a cat.
You couldn't pay me to take that thing.
Same here.
Not even close. But I mean, then when you think about Elon Musk talking about the neural lace tests they have already done tests where they've injected a neural net into mice through a vaccine, like through an injection, not a vaccine.
That's disturbing.
It is insane.
And
like that might be what we're actually dealing with. And
that's Meegs, and along those lines too, chemically speaking, fully knowing that aluminum traces have memory effect issues, and they can cause Alzheimer's or Alzheimer's, however you pronounce it.
Yes.
Why are we still making deodorant? We're making deodorants with aluminum in them. The company should quit altogether putting aluminum in there.
That's what started waking me up, like, to truth in general, like before the Mandela effect, because I was trying to get healthy, and I was like, okay, what's the best water filter to buy? What's the best deodorant to buy? And I'm just like, wait, I found that they put this crap in the water, and I'm just like, why do they do that? Are they trying to kill us? Are they trying to dumb us down? I'm like, well, yeah, they are. Like,
yeah.
Well, yeah.
And it works on 99% of the population.
Oh, it just is horrifying. But once I mean, I don't know, dude. I prayed about it a lot, and I was like, God, do you want me to like stop like using tap water altogether and taking a shower and stuff? Like, I don't want this water to touch me if it's gonna like lower my IQ. And I just kind of got the message, like, just be aware of it. Don't obsess over it, and just get right with the Holy Spirit, and you'll be protected. But
Amen.
It still creeps me out though. Like I still have problems like drinking water at a restaurant and stuff. Like I'm so freaked out. Like,
the area I live in, I got lucky enough that they do not put fluoride in the water up here.
Yeah, they don't in mine.
Austin? I know Austin doesn't, but they protested for it. Though they like demanded no fluoride.
It's good for your teeth, but it sucks for your stomach. You know, it can mess up your stomach if you drink it, but it's good for your teeth. You know what I mean?
It's not even good for your teeth. It's good for teeth in little boys. Ages like 5 to 7. That's it. 5 to 7. That's it.
Yeah, it causes fluorosis or something. It makes
Fluorosis.
yellow.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Schmeenix. You had something to say?
Oh, yeah. Fluoride is definitely a toxin. It is toxic to the human body. It's not supposed to be ingested. I mean, yes, it's good for your teeth, but it's not supposed to be, ingested into the body, period. It's definitely a toxin. If you look up the makeup of it, it's toxic to us. There's got to be a reason why the government is wanting to put it in us for a reason. But yeah, you're not supposed to swallow it. You're supposed to, it's for the teeth. It's for topical reasons, not for ingestion.
Well, also with fluoride is the way that it's manufactured. It's actually it's the waste product of making aluminium. So we're back to aluminium with it. And it's stuff that can't be dumped. They need special licenses to get rid of it. It's toxic waste. And so what they did, these companies, was to force the governments to make fluoride a beneficial thing. And that's when they started to put it in toothpaste. But if you look back in history before fluoride was put in toothpaste, everyone was fine. Nobody had trouble with the teeth all of a sudden. You don't even need it on your teeth. The stuff that they're putting in there is the chemical waste fluoride. It's not natural fluoride. Naturally occurring fluoride occurs in all water anyway, in a very small amount. And that's the stuff that's good for your teeth and good for you. The stuff they're using isn't. It's toxic chemical waste.
And it actually started getting put in the water through Project Paperclip from the Nazis because that was what Hitler found is it made the entire population more docile.
Yeah,
that's right. And the Russian gulags used it too. But I think it was like William Bernays, I think that was his first name, who was Freud's nephew, who was initially introduced to market fluoride as something that's good for your dental health, when before it was always used as rat poison, and it's like a byproduct of industrial chemical manufacturing. So they sell it back to the American public and like tell us lies that it's actually healthy for us. But it's crazy, man. It really is nuts when you think about what our government's doing and what they have been doing with our air, water, food supply, everything. I mean, we're kind of, this is like an onslaught. It's like all angles attack.
I sort of feel like we're in a terrarium, and we're turtles in a terrarium.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And we're in this like simulated feeling reality. I won't say simulated because I might get some people angry, but because things feel real. We have loved ones. We have obviously some things appear to be scripted.
Right.
It's like that movie Stranger Than Fiction sometimes.
Oh, and I meant Edward Bernays, not William Bernays. But yeah. I know what you're saying, Brian. It's like, I know people compare all this stuff to the Truman Show all the time. And I remember walking out of the theater of the Truman Show, seeing it, in the theater and just thinking like, oh my God, like what if that's actually what we're living in? And now as a flat earther, I'm like, oh man, maybe that really is. I never expected it.
I want to ask the chat. I want to ask everybody, Meegs, you too. When do you think virtual reality was invented? Because this is an interesting proposition here.
This was Teresa, by the way.
Okay, Teresa brought it up.
Okay, define virtual reality.
Yeah.
Reality that is.
Do you mean like with the headsets and everything?
Yes, something that simulates like an augmented reality. It's kind of like virtual reality.
I remember seeing stuff on it.
Wait 1 second.
in
Can you mute? Do you have to say something?
late 80s.
Shemix?
Yeah, Scott, then Schmignix. Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, I remember seeing like on TV program. We had a program called Tomorrow's World, and I remember seeing like the concept being introduced back then, which would have been sort of like the late 80s. But in terms of actually being released out to the public or used anywhere, I would say late 90s at the very earliest, maybe even a bit after that.
So in the late 90s, about 98, 99, I went to a place in Cincinnati, and they had it was a mall, and they had the whole VR setup. So I know in 97, 98, they had that starting to become available to the public. And again, it was a rarity.
I just saw a video about the virtual reality, whatever you want to call it, concept come out in the 50s or 60s, actually.
What?
There's a video on YouTube that says something about that. If you look at it, they show the whole headset, and they show everything that it actually came out, and they were talking about it in the 50s or 60s.
Wow.
All right. Well, still, you both have guessed good, but what is the year it was actually invented, Sandy? Sandy? Okay, I guess she's changing.
No, I'm here. I'm here.
Changing cameras for
I sent it to you. Teresa found this, but I went into a deeper dive on it because I found more information. Originally, Teresa found the Sensorama, where it was invented in. You want to ask people when they think it was invented?
We had some from some people said 1950s, some said the 80s. You know, different figures here. So
okay, so here
we want to
go.
be clear
So
when it was invented.
the first multimedia virtual reality device was called the Sensorama, and it was invented in 1957.
57. Look at that, guys.
It was not patented till 1962.
1962
But that
patented.
wasn't the first virtual reality. The first device was actually developed in 1838.
1838.
Which led to the creation of the ViewMaster, the little red clicky thing that we had as kids in the 80s.
1939, it was patented, the ViewMaster. Yeah. I remember the ViewMaster.
ViewMaster.
There's the Sensorama.
I guarantee they've been using that in like MK Ultra and stuff for quite some time. Like even like whenever anything comes out to the public, they've had it for much longer.
Hold on a minute. I have a question to ask in the chat. Is Mystery Friend Mystery Fry? Did you change your name?
They have two accounts. They have Mystery Fried, but they also have Mystery Friend.
Okay.
My live chat's ages ago. That.
Mystery Fried.
I was like, wait a minute.
Well, guys, I have to interrupt real quick. I have to get out of here. I've got to work this evening, so I got to get a little bit of rest. I appreciate you having me on, Brian.
Yeah.
Everybody on the panel, it's been an absolute pleasure. Meegs, it's an honor to finally get to hang out and speak with you.
Talk to you too, man.
Appreciate that.
Thanks.
Brian, I would love to come on again sometime. It's been an absolute pleasure being here, my friend.
Yep, and it was a pleasure having you. Yeah, you'll have to come on again sometime. Thank you.
I most definitely will. I appreciate it, guys.
I'm glad
All right,
you
man,
came on,
take it easy.
Dark Wolf. Have a great night.
Cheers, everybody. Cheers, everybody in chat. And remember, always stay awake, but dare to dream.
Stay awake, dare to dream. There you go. All right, those are some great words. Gosh, I got to write that quote down. Man. All right, so we were talking about the virtual reality. I don't remember it being invented that early.
Not at all. 1838 is crazy.
Well, we didn't have computers then. The transistors that would be required and all this lot. We didn't have the technology. I mean, we obviously did now here, but we just didn't have the technology back in the old world. And look at the size of it as well. It's tiny. I mean, that head mount that he had on in 1953 is the same size as the technology we're using now. In fact, smaller.
Yeah. It's crazy.
All these things from the 80s. And then like Sandy pointed out here about Jaws.
We're going on to Jaws already? We have to
Well, I'm just sort of scrolling down here through your images. Did you have anything else you wanted to say about virtual technology, guys?
Well, I was debating whether I should say this, but if you guys type in Katie Groves, KatyGroves, she's a survivor of MK Ultra
Really?
satanic ritual abuse, and she says they use virtual reality simulations on her. They used that in her torture. And
oh my God.
Wow.
It is unreal. I mean, it is unreal levels of where they're taking virtual reality, and it's kind of graphic. So but our government is using this as a weapon for people. But I don't know.
They use everything as a weapon, don't they?
Yes.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
She was the victim for 22 years, she said?
Well, her whole life. She was born into a child trafficking ring, like a MK Ultra child trafficking ring, where she was programmed to be like a slave and do like, I don't even want to go into it really, but I mean people can look at it. It is so it's horrifying. But she was actually the friend of a girl that was staying with me. I know you guys probably know her. I don't really want to say her name, but it was an MK Ultra victim that I met in person, and this was her friend. And she showed me her channel, and I was just watching it. I'm like, oh my gosh, our government is using this to like harm people, like virtual reality stuff. And my friend had induced dreams where she felt like when she went to sleep, she would feel like she was in a video game program, like not a real dream. Like, and other survivors of MK Ultra talk about induced dreaming too, where they feel like they're in a program or something. It is bizarre.
Oh my God.
Anyway, people can research that. But just something to consider.
Yeah.
Oh
my God. That's creepy. That is so scary.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. But again, it's like, you know, I just know the history of our government. They have done so much horrible stuff to our own citizens that, like, I know, you know, when you trace it back to like, how did this all begin? Like, where did this all start? And it transcends our government. It goes back to the royal family and the satanic Illuminati bloodlines. I mean, it sounds hokey and stuff, but that is exactly what's going on. They've done mind control programming through trauma-based mind control, all the way back to what do they call it? The Necronomicon. Necronomicon talks about how to do this back in like ancient Egyptian times. They've been doing.
They actually found a chamber in Baghdad, which dated back to Babylon times, where Iraq and Baghdad is now, was Babylon. And it was in this chamber they found technology. I mean, this is all hearsay, obviously, but they found technology where they could manipulate the DNA. So, and when you look at the Egyptian sort of hieroglyphics and stuff like that, they show half man, half animal. You know, I mean, it's like DNA splicing and stuff like that. It's gone on from the start of time, from what I can see.
Right.
This is not new stuff.
There's always like a good and a bad way you can use technology. You know, even Tesla technology. Like if we're going to believe the Tesla myth or whatever, that he wanted to use the technology for good. Who really knows? But I know that there's certainly good and bad ways you can use nanotech, virtual reality, like electromagnetism, scalar waves. Like we can use that to help people or not, but our government, no matter what technology we have, it appears that our satanic government is going to use it to try to kill us off. Which I know that just sounds so silly. Like I hear myself talking, but I mean that's really what we're dealing with right now.
Well, and it's not necessarily.
Yes, Teresa. Teresa.
Teresa.
I wanted to ask question. I know I have the flu right now.
Oh, she has the flu right now. Oh.
Yeah, she's been here listening, but she hasn't been able to talk much.
Oh. Well.
Teresa, what were you trying to ask, honey?
Meegs B, a question.
Yeah, what's up, Teresa? Are you there?
Teresa?
And they're getting brain tumors, and it's affecting kids' classrooms. Having this tower near their classroom, and even an AT&T guy had his.
She must be talking about cell phone towers.
Yeah. And stuff.
That could be another cause of autism, is all these cell phone towers,
Yeah.
Because we didn't have that in the 80s, and they.
No, we didn't.
No, so you're very possible. Cell phone towers have an effect on the human body and on the brain.
Well, yeah, I mean they transmit microwaves, so microwaves penetrate into us. One of the few waves that do. So absolutely, X-rays, gamma rays, microwaves, all these low-end sort of frequencies.
Can you pull up like an article on it? Like an article about the dangers of 5G. I just want people to be aware of this.
Yeah, there's that, and we also have Wi-Fi. There's Wi-Fi in the house. Radio waves, radiation.
Microwaves in our house.
In other words, I would not. We're having a baby coming up, guys, next month.
Yay!
This month, in the next couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah,
And it's coming fast. We are definitely not going to put the baby.
About that, you might want to tell her.
Look, yeah. Today is our anniversary together.
Oh, happy anniversary, Brian!
Thank you.
I don't know if Lisa's here, but happy anniversary, Lisa.
Oh, thanks, Sandy. I'll tell you said that. So, guys, I would definitely not want to put our baby, anywhere near a Wi-Fi access point.
No. You can watch videos on YouTube on just type in dirty electricity, and they take an RF meter and like put it next to Wi-Fi routers and even cell phones when you get a phone call, and it's like the thing goes off the charts. I mean, it's like radiation is just coming off of these things is just horrifying, like way past what humans are supposed to be able to tolerate. It's like, oh, this is terrible. But they have routers and classrooms now and stuff, and oh my gosh,
you're bombarded with it everywhere, aren't you? You can't get away from it.
TruthStream Media did a video about a village. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but a village where people can go if they have Wi-Fi sickness or radio frequency sickness.
Is this in Holland?
No, it's in America, but they may have. It's called like a no-fly zone or something. Like no radio frequencies at all. Like no internet at all in this town because people get sick.
What's the thing about 5G? Can you elaborate on it, please?
I just know it's supposed to be a faster internet. In other words, it's going to be like probably 10 times as fast as what you guys are seeing now with your internet speed on your phone.
There's the expert on 5G is a guy named Mark Steele, Steele, and he just did an interview with Romola D Reports. But he says it's not even. He's like an expert on it. He says it's not even going to speed anything up. That's what they're saying it's going to do to sell it to the public. But it's a weaponized, it's like an organized like weapons system. he
Well,
said.
yeah, the frequency that it operates on, it's a thinner band wave. It's much smaller, so it can penetrate much more, which means it's shorter range as well. So you won't get the signal as far away from the antenna as you would with 4G and 3G and that. But it can penetrate more into cells like the cells
Yes.
in our body. So it sounds more harmful than helpful to me.
Yeah. He said it's a straight up weapon system, and it seems like it affects. I know microwaves affect water molecules, but I think 5G
Yes.
also does too. But it's like a much more drastic effect.
You're right. You're right, and it can cause matter to vibrate at a higher rate.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why he was even saying it's a risk to have 5G in buildings because it compromises the structural integrity of the building.
Yeah, I've seen
It's
that.
really dangerous.
That's terrifying. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
it is.
Yeah.
And with 5G, you can pretty much do away with fiber optics at that point. Gosh, and there's.
And all people
Are you guys-
really have to
Good.
know that this is real, like what we're talking about is real. It's like, look up this guy John Hutchison, Hutchison. He uses Tesla technology to make steel crumple. Like he aims a specific frequency at a big chunk of steel, and it like crumples in on itself just from frequencies. And so, like, it's just like Tesla.
Yeah. Because that's exactly it's kind of like a directed energy,
Yes. Yeah.
If energy can be focused, it's like a laser. It's just like our thought processes. If our thoughts were focused like a laser, just think how clear everything becomes. It's just we're constantly being bombarded by things. All the time. We're in the information age.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there are people out there that propagate things like all those fake celebrity deaths. That have you guys seen those back in like 2015 or something like that? There was all these fake celebrity deaths. That part.
Well, I don't really remember that.
It's still going on.
Yeah.
Oh,
it
yeah,
is.
there always are, yeah. Oh, speaking of celebrity deaths, Teresa and I were noticing something very strange. I don't know if anyone heard, but Catherine Hellman died. She was Mona on Who's the Boss. She was the mother on Soap in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the weird part. It was announced yesterday that she died. The cast of Who's the Boss was tweeting that she died today. Tony Danza said we lost a national treasure today. Yeah,
Oh, weird.
but it's saying that she died on February 23rd.
Oh.
So I don't know what the discrepancy is, but half the places are reporting she died February 23rd, and the other half is reporting February 28th. So I don't know what's going on with that, but that's just a little weird.
Wow, that is weird. That is weird. And that's only 5 days apart. Normally, we're seeing these these things happen years apart when people are supposed for instance, Mandela dying in the 80s, and now in 2013 he died.
Yeah,
usually that's what we're used to seeing.
Yeah, and usually a hoax, like Betty White has died a million times, and there are always hoaxes, and usually they're usually done on people who are still living. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
it's weird to see a discrepancy in someone who just passed away.
Going back to what we said a few moments ago, Justice for All I want to highlight this one. I want sharks with freaking laser beams on their heads. Speaking of sharks, Sandy, let's get to the next one if you don't mind.
Oh, Jaws.
Yeah.
All right, so I have to ask the chat something and the panel. The iconic image of Jaws. Now we know it changed. People remember a bite in like the S or the W. That's fine. We're talking about the shark right now. Jaws himself. His teeth, specifically his teeth. Do you remember them straight or like all jammed up, crooked all over the place? Because what I remember is I do remember multiple rows of teeth, but I remember them straight and sharp
they were
and
straight.
scary.
Why? How are they now?
Well, I sent an image to you, Brian. The first image I sent to you is how it is now.
Okay,
So in the chat, please put down whether you remember them straight or crooked.
did Jaws have straight teeth or crooked teeth?
We're not even going to discuss whether there was multiple rows or a single row. We're just discussing whether they were straight or not. So yes or no, if they were write straight or crooked in the chat.
One row of straight teeth for me.
Scott was straight. How about you, She-Mix?
Correct. Run one row of straight teeth.
Straight teeth. How about you, Meegs?
I can't say either way, unfortunately.
It's okay. In the chat, we have Amy Ferguson saying jagged but straight. Schizo like a boss says straight. Mystery friend fried says straight.
They were just large triangles.
Now
It was
that
just
I
like a
look
straight
at
row around the mouth. You know what I mean?
Dude,
Like
this
one row.
looks all mangled
Yeah.
now that I look at it on the
Yeah,
poster.
Brian has an image of how it is now to show everybody.
Oh no!
Why don't you show them how it is now, Brian?
Okay,
That
it's
sucks.
all.
I can't see it.
Hold on.
It didn't. Yeah, it sure didn't look like that.
Okay, I don't know if you guys can see. I'll probably have to click on the image. Okay, you see how the teeth are kind of jutted out now?
You're not
Yeah.
presenting right
Yeah.
now. Oh, there we go.
It's a delay.
You got to click on it. Yeah.
Yeah, right here at the bottom. Can you guys see this? The
You
teeth
can
are jutted
scroll,
out.
can't you? Can't you scroll up?
Hang on, let me pull up a quick image.
Ew, it was never all mangled like
Yeah,
that.
'cause it doesn't even look mangled in that image. She's got to pull it up because he's not getting the good.
Okay, here's the poster. As it is now in this timeline, there is no breaks in any of the letters. None of them are merged. Oops, hang on. Google's trying to get me to buy something.
Just go to images and click on.
Come on now. He's got like 4 rows of teeth. They're all. Gosh, that looks so wrong. Right?
Do you guys remember that?
No.
Amy Ferguson says, "What the H? That's so wrong. There are rows. Nuh-uh."
No.
Well,
It
I have a
looks
ton of
like-
residue.
It looks like a sloth.
There you go.
From the
This
Goonies
is
or
probably a
something.
better picture. Can you guys see that more clear?
Yeah, it's better.
Yeah.
Wow.
I said to Brian, it's like Jaws needed braces. Like it's awful.
Right.
His teeth are like a
No.
mess.
No, it's sort of like Crocodile Dundee is saying, now that's what I call a shark.
Yeah. That's not a shark. That's a shark. Like what?
Okay, there's some images that Sandy found, I guess, in Teresa too. Some of these are mixed, maybe.
Yeah, Teresa helped me find residue. Yes, she did.
Yep, and look at the teeth, how straight they look in this one.
Well, that doesn't even look right. That looks foreign as well. That looks more like it right there.
Yeah.
The jaws.
Yeah, I have a lot of residue.
How about this one? How about that one?
That's a towel. That's just a towel.
You guys see that? Straight teeth.
These are just like artists' interpretations. But there is
What-
one, the Jaws video game. Find that one.
Okay. Yeah, I'm
There's
looking at different ones.
That's
Straight
the actual Jaws ride.
But they weren't that pointy. They were like blunt triangles. You know what I mean?
Mm. That video game is probably the most accurate that I've seen. And that looks a bit better. Oh, there.
Palm and jaws, they're all straight.
Yeah,
That
the,
was
the,
the-
the top teeth look right. The top teeth look right.
What's
This
with all
one-
these
this
rows
one's
of
messed
teeth
up.
in there as well? I mean, that's ridiculous. Is that how sharks are now?
I
Yeah.
bet that's how they are now, yeah. This is more like what I remember.
Yeah, the top teeth definitely look more triangular like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, is this from the actual movie? Is it what this picture we're looking at is, Sandy?
I have to no. A lot of these, some of the that's from the movie. Yes.
Okay.
That's the him on the thing on the boat.
The bottom teeth don't look right though.
No, the bottom teeth don't look right at all.
No, they don't. Okay, here's the one from the video game that Sandy was talking about. The ones in the video game are straight. You see this?
Yeah. Well.
Oh, weird. So you got residue on it?
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
1983.
What? Like, what? It's so weird, the things that the Mandela effect picks to, like, hit, you know?
Yeah.
Why mangle the teeth on Jaws? Like, why? You know? But it's just funny.
No idea. Even on the video game, though, there's multiple rows. Like, if you look, there's little white dots. That's to indicate more rows of teeth. So if people remember a single row, that's a double Mandela effect. They're saying there's multiple rows.
No, there's multiple rows, but they're straight, as you can see.
Yeah, they're straight as can be.
I remember just a single row.
And this is the original book.
Yeah, I remember just a single row on both sides, top and bottom.
Here's even a drawing.
Yeah, that drawing's cute.
I like that one.
They had the multiple rows, but they had the straight teeth.
Straight teeth, yeah. So we can agree that that's an effect, guys? Is that an effect?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Right.
Confirmed.
We were looking for something else, and I saw it, and I'm like, that's not right. Oh, my God, that's not right. But that's the last one I'm going to cover today. Well, should we make an announcement about next week, Brian?
Oh, just kind of leave next week open for right now. I'm in the process of moving in the next couple weeks. Moving to Alabama.
You've got some stuff to do, Brian. You're like starting another chapter of your life, man.
I know, man.
Yeah, I know. I meant the thing that we're doing tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow, yes. Tomorrow we'll be covering more effects.
But we're gonna
do more of the poll, doing a poll to see what you guys remember.
But wait, we're not doing it live though. We're recording it and then doing a premiere next week.
It'll be a premiere for next week. Yes, it'll be a pre-recorded premiere, and you guys will still be able to interact.
And we're going to be airing that Friday night at your normal time, right?
Yep, Friday night. I'm guessing we'll do 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock.
I would do 8 so more people can join. Yeah.
Yeah, 8 o'clock sounds good.
So Friday at 8, we're going to be premiering a show for you guys.
Let me see. Were there any other? Oh wait, I forgot. This is a huge one. We need to bring this up, Sandy.
Okay.
And we have it in the description of this video. So I want to ask you all something. Okay, the song "Kiss from a Rose" or
oh God, yeah.
Yes, by Seal. You remember in Batman Forever?
Yes.
So fill in the blanks.
How does the song go? Kiss. Can you sing it for us, Meegs? Kiss by a rose on the what?
Kiss by a rose on the grave.
Yes.
Wait, whoa! You say grave, Scott. How do you remember "Kiss by a Rose" on the?
I have no idea, mate.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, Brian Hebert remembers "On the Gray."
Oh, what?
That is not the
lyrics.
Oh, wait. What is it now? What is it now?
Gray. Kiss by a rose on the gray.
Oh, it's on. Yeah, it's on the gray now. But I remember "Kissed by a Rose on the Grave," and I always pictured somebody putting a rose on top of it. Look at the video, Brian.
But it changed. That is freaky.
It was "Kissed by a Rose on the Grave."
On the grave. On the
grave.
Does that make sense? Because you throw a rose down on a grave. Grave, not a gray. What the hell is a gray? A gray? What? Oh my gosh. This is so weird. What?
Brian, I found a YouTube video. I found a YouTube video where they have the lyrics on screen and they say grave. You want the
Okay,
link?
yeah. Can you send that to me in the messenger?
Yes, I can.
You throw flowers on a grave.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. What the heck does it even mean with a gray? Gray alien? Gray what? Oh God.
Well, you guys know that in Back to the Future, the almanac that predicts everything is the Gray's almanac.
Oh, okay. This is a pattern forming in the Mandela sphere, dude. That is so freaky.
See if I can find it.
Don't even know what to say.
See if I can find the lyric.
It's by the road.
I'm gonna send you the image that comes with the video. So
Yeah, I have it. I have the image right here. I have it right here, so everyone can see this. The lyrics in the lyric video say grave.
I got another video like that too, Brian.
When you listen to the song, it says gray.
The official lyrics say gray now.
Hang on. Did he say grave there?
Hey, Brian.
It skipped it. It didn't even say anything. It seems like it just skipped it.
Dude.
Brian.
It says gray in the lyrics. The official lyrics say gray.
Brian, Fizzy says that Nobleness D did a great video about this.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah, I couldn't find anyone who had previously done it. But yeah, we'll give kudos to him, Nobleness D, for finding that.
Yeah, time matters. Gray alien. I mean, what else would that mean? That's not even poetic. It just is nonsensical. It's an inferior reality. Inferior.
Yeah, like what does that mean? On the gray. Like, what does that even mean?
That's not a phrase. That's not an idiom.
No.
Weird.
Oh
gosh.
And we have another one. Okay, Rich Fisanick. Okay, Kansas. What's the name of the song? Kansas No versus.
Oh, I need Teresa for this because I don't know this. Like
I don't, Kansas No.
I don't know Kansas like this. I don't know their songs like that. Like a lot of the stuff is Teresa inputting. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not.
Are you there?
Hold on, I'm getting an important phone call. I'm muting myself for a minute.
Okay, that's fine. The name of this song by Kansas is "There's No Place Like Home." How do you guys remember "no" being spelled? Was it K-N-O-W or N-O?
N-O.
What about you, Schmeenix?
Of course, I mean, I don't remember from that song, period, but I mean, no should be N-O, right?
Yeah, and Meegs, how do you remember Kansas's song? Do you know this song? There's no place like home.
I don't K-N-O-W this song.
Okay, guys, you're going to be shocked when you see this because now it's K-N-O-W, and I got to give kudos to Teresa on this one. She works hard at finding residue. There's plenty of residue for this one too, by the way. If she were here on the show, we would see residue coming over to me here. I think Sandy's sending me some now. Yeah, apparently it's always been there's no K-N-O-W place like home.
Okay, Brian, I'm sorry, guys. What am I sending to you? Because I don't have anything for this one. Teresa does.
That's fine. If she can send it to you, I'll present it. Or if she wants to send it to me, I'll present.
Teresa, do you have this stuff to send? Is she still there? I have to leave. I have to leave in 20 minutes to pick up Joe.
That's fine. We're about to get off here in a second. I just wanted to ask the chat what they remember. Rich Fisanick he calls himself the guitar mechanic, and he's into music and he has a band and everything. So, and he says this one's off to him. So I want to ask any musicians out there in the chat what they remember. If they remember no, K-N-O-W, or N-O. Because I remember N-O. There's no place like home.
Well, K-N-O-W, no, doesn't make sense in the context of it neither.
No,
absolutely not. It does not make sense.
Oh.
Yeah, it's inferior reality. All these changes make things inferior. Okay, Salt and
It's
Cedar
just-
says Kissed by
it's
a
just-
Rose on the Grave means like a bridge.
Kissed by a Rose on the Grave.
Is that what he's saying? That a gray means a bridge? That's so weird, though. Sorry,
No.
I'm just obsessed with that change.
This is an oldie but a goodie, and you've probably discussed it before, but I've discussed it with Shane from Unbiased on the Fence, and we were talking about the song "Under the Bridge" by the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and how the lyric is "angels" and not "angel," and then now it's "angel," and that was the biggest one for me when I've heard that, and I'm like, no, because I played it for another guy. And he's like, I got the original tape in the car. I can play it for you. And it says Angel on the original tape. And he's like, no, no.
Angel.
Yeah, it was Angels. It's always, City of Angels. That's just not right in my opinion. Angel when I heard the word angel, and it didn't have the explanation of it just didn't have angels in it. It set me off. And that's an oldie one. I know it's an old school one, but it's still a prevalent one in my head.
Yeah, you're right.
Brian, Teresa's sending me the residue of the no. So
Okay.
just give me a minute.
That's fine.
Brian Stavely's going to be live in about an hour. If anybody wants to.
Yeah, if anyone thank you for that announcement. I was just about to say that if anyone wants to jump on Brian Stavely's show and have a nice chat, they're going to be starting in about an hour.
Sweet. Well, my cat's saying goodbye to everyone.
Oh wait, let me see. Let's see the cat. What kind of cat is it? Can
She's like a Siamese. She's so beautiful.
Can you show it? We want to see.
You know what? I don't know how to turn my camera back on, or else I would. I'm on my phone right now, so I think I'm low battery, and it won't turn on.
Oh.
But next time.
I think we'll report.
Next time.
There we go. Teresa's sending stuff. Hold on 1 second. I'm just as she sends it to me, I'm going to send it to you, Brian.
Mm-hmm.
She just sent one right now.
The point of no return. Okay, I see one.
It's all she sent right now.
Because
that's the name of the song.
What it sounds like is the point of no return. Sounds like third eye wisdom or something, doesn't it?
I've sent you another one.
Okay. Somehow I'm getting them from her as well. We're getting duplicates. All right, it's fine.
I don't understand. That's the thing. It's the point of KNOW now.
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
It sounds like Gnosticism, maybe. I don't know.
The point of KNOW return. Doesn't make sense. It was just no return. NO.
Yeah, the point of no return. And this is somebody on Etsy. Somebody that creates stuff on Etsy. Go ahead, Schmeenix. Were you about to say something?
Yeah, I was about to say. I'm going to ask my mom on this one because it's her era, and she'll probably know. And I'll get back to you on it because she would definitely know the lyric. She probably had the record back then.
There you go. Yeah, ask her about that. But at the same time, is she Mandela affected? Because she might get antsy with you.
I actually have not brought it up with her.
Really?
Yeah. So we'll see.
All right, just take it lightly. Tread lightly.
That's all Teresa has right now. I'll see if I can find anything really quick.
All right, we've had a lot of fun on today's show, guys, and I want to thank everybody who was here with us, and also people who will be watching later on. Okay, I really appreciate Scott coming on, and Meegs B on such short notice. Thank you, guys.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. And I just want to thank the man upstairs too for
Amen.
Protection and bringing us together too. And I know not everybody's down with him, but If you don't know Jesus, guys, that's the number one thing I recommend. Get right with Jesus.
Well, speaking of
Amen.
Jesus, are we going to do a pray for Nathaniel's dad?
Yes.
Did we even tell anybody about Nathaniel's dad yet?
Meegs, do you know about Nathaniel's dad?
Oh,
Nathaniel
Winter-Hebert.
Winter-Hebert?
Yeah.
I didn't hear about his dad. What's going on with his dad?
All right. So I was asking him to come on the show today, and I didn't hear from him all week, and he finally got back to me today that his dad had a massive heart attack. He's doing good though. He's in the hospital. He needs triple bypass, so I wanted to say a prayer for him.
Okay, let's do it.
I'm not good at this, so I need someone else who's good at this.
Okay, you said Nathaniel's dad is having triple bypass surgery?
Yes.
Okay. Dear Heavenly Father, we just come before you today, and we thank you, first of all, for bringing us together, Lord. But we know you are all powerful, and you are a loving God of healing, too. And we just come before you, and we just ask that you put your hand on Nathaniel's dad and just help his triple bypass surgery be completely successful, 100% success. We want him completely healed, God, and we just pray that you are watching over him, sending angels to be with his dad as he goes through this surgery. And we just thank you, Lord, for this time together, and thank you, Lord, for the fellowship and camaraderie through these absolutely insane times. But we know that you're in control of everything that goes on in this world, and we know that there is light at the end of the tunnel through your Son, Jesus Christ, who you sent to die for our sins. And we just hope and pray that people come to saving faith more and more every day, Father. And we just pray for your protection in our lives. And we thank you for all the blessings that you give us. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
Amen. That was beautiful, Meegs. You're really great at that stuff. You're just so awe-inspired. And
well, I always tell people I would never have started my channel if I hadn't become a Christian, like a born again Christian, which it's just I don't know. It still sounds crazy to some people, like born again Christian, like what? But I mean, seriously, that is kind of like the only solution I can find to what's going on in this world. We need spiritual protection. So, yeah, Jesus is the man. But anyway, I love you guys. And thanks, Brian, for having us all on.
Yeah, thanks, guys, for coming. And everybody have a great week. Have a great Mandela Effect day, and God bless. And love you all very much.
Love you guys. Thanks for coming.
Y'all have a great day.